All right, Daddy's home. Let's do this. Big thanks to Drew for doing the first of the Q&As. It was over 3 hours, so we figured it was probably good as its own episode and not mashing another, I'm going to guess, 3 hours of mine on top of it for some sort of giant behemoth monstrosity of an episode. I think we're doing this the correct way. You might have heard me saying in the intro for his episode that you'd be hearing it on Monday, and you didn't see it until Tuesday. That's because of Drew's inclusion of copyrighted music that I was not anticipating, which, although I liked the sound and feel of and was going to do for mine, until the insane headache of having to edit it out to get it monetized on YouTube. So enjoy your background music free Scott Q&A. But yeah, so that just sort of pushed everything a day forward. So Drew's on Tuesday and mine today, which if you're listening to it today is Thursday. So what's important that needs talking about? All Request Spectacular. The next 3 episodes you hear after this very one right very now will be the last 3 All Request Spectacular episodes. I know it feels like we just started, and how could it be coming to an end so quickly? Well, you can fix that by requesting more movies or music videos or seasons of anime or whatever your little heart desires. $100 or more to paypal.me/NotScottHenson per request, and we'll see how long we can keep this train running. Or if the train is done after 3 episodes from now, that's okay too. But now that we're actually charging the right amount, we really don't mind getting more at this point. So whatever feels good for you. Speaking of money, another good place to send your money is YouTube. Just put cash in an envelope. No, go to the YouTube channel that this show is on, youtube.com/@NotScottHenson. And at least click the subscribe button and the little bell beside it so you can get notifications of when we have new episodes. That's all for free. And then if you want to go the extra mile, go ahead and click the join button where you can join for as low as $5 per month. And for that, you'll receive a hog badge of increasing thickness as time goes on with your subscription. Just taking a look here. Nick, Non-Creep Brandon, Maddie, Zach, Caraxa, Tommy, and Eve, all sitting at 5 months. I got great news for all of you come 6 months. You think your hog is thick now? Just you wait, my little piggies. And then Brian, and Jimbo, hot on their heels at 4 months apiece. So you get that with your subscription. You get all these fun custom emotes. And then at the $10 and higher levels, you get early episodes every time they're uploaded. And you can feel so much better and smarter and just of a higher cast than the regular non-members who have to wait until we decide they get them. You can comment early. You can comment before these other idiots even see it. Anyway, it's a good deal, and we appreciate all the support that comes that way. Speaking of support, maybe Manscaped.com is supporting us. Unclear. They did just send us new free stuff, so they still know we exist. So the eternal question remains: will we ever get paid? We'll see. But why not? Go to manscaped.com, use promo code CATS20, CATS20. Just buy the whole store, and maybe that'll get their goddamn attention for once. Anything else? And then, yeah, just the regular places to follow us. I'm at Not Scott Henson on Twitter. Drew's at Sarian Softpaws on Twitter as well as Letterboxd, and I think that's where he wants it. And you know what? He would not mind a third follower on Mastodon. So if you want to do him a solid that way, I'm sure he would appreciate it. He's a big Mastodon guy lately. So I think an almost 5-minute intro is plenty. I don't think I missed anything crucial. So yeah, I guess let's do this goddamn Q&A, which I honestly am kind of trepidatious going into because I listened to Drew's a couple days ago, which wasn't smart because I should have listened to it right before I did this, so I remembered what he said and could respond to what he said better. So it's like we were in the same place at the same time when we couldn't be. But yeah, he did a really good job, and I think just straight up blasted through it for 3 straight hours. I might pause recording on a few things in case I want to go back and hear something Drew said, or if I get tired and need a nap in the middle, I might do it, or I might just blaze through. We'll see how it plays out, honestly. A couple more questions came in after Drew recorded his, so I'll have a few more. If there's any real good ones, we'll give them to Drew next week when we're together. Also, when we're together, we'll get the couple weeks late Vegas recap. Although in his Q&A, you at least got to hear that he hated the FurCon. So that's a nice little preview. So let's see what we got here. So these first ones are the anonymous questions from curiouscat.live/notscotthenson. If I guess I'll leave it up if you want to continue asking anonymous questions like a goddamn coward, then by all means. And if I remember to go back to that site, I'll answer them. So number 1, I'm the first question, I think. Does that make me special? No. And that definitely didn't come from user ScaredyCat, who followed me on that Curious Cat site immediately and asked a question very quickly. Next up, so, like, when is Drew gonna man up and suck a dick already like a good DL bisexual? Drew seemed to know who this was. I don't, so I'm gonna have to ask him. That's very interesting. The answer can only be, God willing, soon. Scott, how do I convince my mother to adopt a stray cat? We got a cat and sadly a dog. I'm sorry to hear about your current plight, but if you've already got a cat and a dog, is it that much harder a move to convince the people necessary to get another cat? I mean, the hardest thing is going from 0 to 1, right? If you're a no pet household, convincing people to get a cat, that can be tough. But you have a cat and a dog, get another cat in the mix is barely anything. You could do it. Best way to repel ticks, as Drew said, don't be a disgusting dog. Clean yourself. Be a cat. If you can't stand the heat, stay out of the woods, because that's where ticks are. Also, off deep woods bug spray will do the trick for you pretty good, I think. Hello, Scott and Drew. Have you heard of the luchador Cassandro? How do you feel about him and his legacy, if so? Also, do you have any favorite poems? Thankies. Yeah, definitely know Cassandro. Drew went into him pretty well. He's an openly gay man, as some people tend to be. Yeah, he's what in the Mexican wrestling lucha libre world is referred to as an exotico, which, for lack of a better term, is just kind of drag, but not like, it's not always full guy doing girl drag. Sometimes it's just guy doing really gay sort of costume. So yeah, and as Drew said, the coolest things they do are the 4-on-4 man woman exotico midget versus man woman exotico midget tag matches. Those are a delight. There's I wish I could remember. I'll look it up later. There's a really, really fun one from some number of years ago now, but sometime in the 2000s. But I'll see if I can find it. I'm sure it's online somewhere. But yeah, and then Cassandro himself, probably one of the top 3 best known exoticos of the 2000s, between him, Pimpinella Escarlata, which I believe is the Scarlet Pimpernel on Espanol, and Maximo, who has been doing less recently because I think he, for real, vandalized someone's car and quit the company. But yeah, and Cassandra has probably done the most North American work of all of them, and by North American I mean not Mexico, even though a lot of people are gonna sit here and tell you that Mexico is part of North America. Don't listen to them. Canada, U.S., and I don't even know about the U.S. It's mostly Canada. Yeah, he did a fair bit in like the late aughts. I think he did some IWA Mid-South when that was a good promotion and an existing promotion. I think it's finally mercifully dead. And I think I think the deal was he was here for like kind of a big tour and broke his leg in I think in a Ring of Honor match right before he was supposed to do Chikara King of Trios, which at the time was a big tournament by a good company, which is a thing you can't say about that anymore. But yeah, his legacy, like I said, like one of the best Exoticos. Very good wrestler. Had some good matches. Wasn't because you can certainly rest on your laurels as an Exotico and just be like full gimmick, full comedy. Don't need to be good at wrestling, but he was and definitely one of the better ones out there. Do you have any favorite poems? Look up There Once Was a Man from Nantucket. You're gonna like what you see. Also, Robert Frost is good, and of course, I was gonna say Robert Blake's Tiger Tiger. Robert Blake is a murderer. You're gonna want to look up William Blake. Fun. What's the deal with airline food? I don't like it. When I'm on a plane, that means I can't pick up my girlfriend from high school. Jerry Seinfeld, pedophile, but one of those it's okay pedophiles, which is what we should all strive to be. Hi, I don't have any funny preamble for this. Here's a list of questions. Do either of you do your own cooking? If so, what is one of your go-to recipes? Yeah, I do a fair chunk of my own cooking. My mom is thankfully a great cook and has passed a bit down to me. Could probably pass more if I was even more motivated to, but yeah, I'm definitely here for some of it. Also, I like the sound of Drew's bacon pineapple chicken breast. I'm gonna make him make me that. But yeah, I can do most meat well. I can do a good steak. I know how to your butter basting, your garlic, your rosemary, your the whole thing. You got it. And look, here's a general cooking tip for everything. Most of you, if I know you, and I do, you're not seasoning enough, and you're not seasoning at enough of the right times, if that makes sense. Just for an example, with like the chili Drew was talking about, season at every level. Like season the meat, season the vegetables, season the sauce. Like don't just throw some salt in the finished product and think you've seasoned something, because you haven't. I like to make a lot of Italian stuff. Most of it's fairly easy. I'm not making my own noodles, so that's a big part already checked off. But and I think this comes up in a later question too, because it's legitimately one of my favorite dishes. There's actually a Martha Stewart recipe for an Italian sausage pappardelle, which is like big, like super wide fettuccine kind of, and it's phenomenal. I made it the other night with the proper San Marzano tomatoes as God intended, and man, it's real nice. Sorry, taking a sip of my Mountain Dew Pitch Black. I've had it in the States, so I thought I would try the Canadian version, which uses sugar and not high fructose corn syrup. It's which is always better. And I'm not mistaken, right? This Pitch Black is different than the old Pitch Black, because I have it in my head that the old Pitch Black was grape, and this is described as citrus punch, which is kind of what they call every flavor Mountain Dew. But I don't think it's the same. But it's not bad. I don't know if I'm going to have another one. I don't mean today. I mean in my life after this. It's fine, but it's not setting my world on fire. Across all media, who is your favorite or least favorite Asian character? Answer carefully. Damn, Mulan was a good pick by Drew. Mostly because of the stolen valor. Well, it's got to be my boy Ross Butler from 13 Reasons Why, right? Like, first of all, what better Asian name than Ross Butler. So he's my favorite. And why am I forgetting his name? Oh yeah, his equally Asian name on the show, Zach Dempsey. It's like, who's the other one like that? And which I won't go into detail on what like that is, but the guy in Crazy Rich Asians, Henry Golding, another classic Asian name. Like, it's like, of course that exists out there. It's just funny to me because I'm stupid. Least favorite Asian character. Here's a hot take that nobody saw coming. You ready for this? Master Tigress from Kung Fu Panda, because she's not fuckable enough. Her head's too wide. I don't want to fuck Watermelon Head. Have you had any strange or awkward interactions during your wrestling career? What, during my 20-plus year wrestling career? Strange or awkward interactions? Perish the thought. Yeah, of course I have. Yeah, same as Drew, not a ton of real specific incidents come to mind, which is probably a good thing. There was actually, this isn't particularly strange. I guess it's strange. It's not awkward. It was sick. There was a nice little run during 3-2-1 Battle, which was like our home promotion in Seattle 2014-15 until COVID. Where it was probably, it was when I was like really gaining some popularity there. So I like 2016-17, I guess. And there was a nice little run of shows where I'd be hanging out in like the alley out back after the show, and like different girls would show me their tits without me asking, which is really the dream. So that was, yeah, there was a whole tits out for Big Cat movement, which I'm not against bringing back. And I don't just mean in the alley after shows, just in general. Let's get tits out for Big Cat going. Did you ever consider any other animals before landing on a tiger, and likewise for snow leopard? So this will probably answer some other future questions too, because there are some similar ones like this. So I'll say stuff here, and then if further details come up in later ones, I'll touch on those too. So I'm like an OG day one furry. So not the same as Drew in that respect. But I was so young when I knew I was actually too young to know the breadth of it. And also I didn't know like the word furry until much, much later in my life, like late teens probably. But yeah, so at the original time, I thought, and if this doesn't go to show the power that Big Dog has on media, I don't know what does. But I thought you could only be a wolf because of the type of furry shit I was into, and like people turning into animals and stuff. It's all fucking werewolves, right? So I'm like, oh, I guess that's me. And then literally as soon as it was brought to my attention that like, oh, you don't have to be a wolf. You can be any animal you want. I'm like, oh, well, I didn't know. I didn't know you could do that. I'm a fucking tiger, obviously. And yeah, it wasn't a matter of like flipping through National Geographic to see an animal that spoke to me or whatever, or one I thought looked cool or whatever. But don't get me wrong, they look fucking cool. I don't know what to tell you. It's just like what I knew I was, in the same way, you're male or female or both. Hey, cover my bases, baby. Is the same way I know I'm a tiger. So I wish I could articulate it better than that, but it is just a thing I know. And luckily, they're super fucking cool. If you were forced at gunpoint to change them to another animal permanently, what would that animal be? That's interesting. I would not want to take someone's chosen or ingrained species away from them. But if I had to, because apparently a gun is involved, I would give Drew a taste of his original option B species, which was African wild dog, and I'm sure he will punish me for even bringing up that he could be a dog. But hey, it was your idea first, dummy. and he brought it up in his Q&A too, so it's not like a secret or anything. What's the weirdest fetish either of you have been exposed to? Oh boy. Well, the thing with furry art is I and Drew only like a sliver of it, because we have specific tastes and, more importantly, aren't gross. And the thing with a lot of furries is that they're really gross. So there's a lot out there, and really most of it, look, if transformation is a fetish, which I guess it is, then yes, that's the one I like, and I don't really like any of the others. Like, a lot of them are harmless, like macro, like just like, hey, Star Fox is the size of a building. Like, okay, I don't see the point, but it's harmless. But Vor, I don't care for. I don't need to eat someone or be eaten by someone, and especially derive sexual pleasure from that. And then, of course, bodily fluids, specifically waste fluids. I don't need shit in my life, much like Drew. I was actually telling Drew and Kelly in Vegas that because I just did a big art dump, not shit related, just dumping a bunch of art on my Fur Affinity page. Hey, and if you want to go check that out, furaffinity.net, I think, yes, furaffinity.net /Tigre Blanco, white tiger. What? I don't know. I was very young when I did it, and maybe I thought white tigers were cooler than regular tigers, and regular tires. You know what? White tires are cooler than regular tires. Who doesn't like a white wall? Very cool. But yeah. So, and of course you can't change your username, so I'm stuck with that for the rest of my life, I guess. But yeah, and then a bunch of people like you can favorite or like or whatever the art that gets put up, and so you get notifications when people like your stuff, and so I was looking at the people who liked my stuff, and in one other guy's I guess gallery, I saw from a distance, because they're just little thumbnails at first before you click on them, what looked like very good transformation art. So I'm like, okay, maybe I found a new TF guy. So I click on his page, and I was half right. He does have a full gallery full of high quality human to animal transformation art. However, every single piece of art also involves the transformation victim in question shitting their pants. I'm like, oh, what are you doing to me? What are you doing? Anyway, that's the answer to that question. When's the OnlyFans coming out, Scoot? Listen, I've said it before and I'll say it again. The OnlyFans is coming out when you prove that you are willing to pay regularly for that. So if you want to send me something to paypal.me /NotScottHenson and send me a place to send you something, I'll send you some OnlyFans shit. And if enough people do that, I'll start a fucking OnlyFans. Until then, until you're going to stop being all talk, nothing. All right? You hear me? Why am I getting so fired up? I don't know. But but that's the deal. Okay? If enough, honest to God, if enough people prove it, I'll do it. But I'm not starting one and then getting 2 subscribers and then getting so depressed I kill myself. That doesn't seem like the move for me. All right? But prove it. A bunch of you prove it, and I'll do it. All right? All right. When are we getting a season of 2000 WCW Thunder? I mean, not a terrible idea for a future season. We did, for newer listeners to the pod, the very first season of this very podcast was 2000 WCW Nitro, which was, of course, the worst year, or 2.5. We weren't that bad. 2.5 years of our lives. I guess over 3 if you actually start from when we started recording. Yeah. So yeah, it's an option. We can look into it. Are you guys big cats because you eat big pussy? You are what you eat, in parentheses, obviously. Except eating pussy's gay, if you ask Italian guys, but they also eat a lot of pussy. What are your guys' workout regimens, and why doesn't it include kitty yoga? Guys is spelt GUYS''S''S, which is just cancer. It should include kitty yoga. Drew's allergic, but he's also a coward, and also he's not allergic to my cat, so just do kitty yoga with the right cats, you silly. And yeah, I would do either variation of kitty yoga, which is yoga with kitties climbing all over me, or someone else doing yoga where I'm the kitty climbing all over him. There's a later staying in shape question, so I'll talk more about workout stuff there. Also, I barely work out, so you're not missing much yet. Which takes us to, at the very moment you're reading this, how pressed together are you and Drew's butts? Assuming that Scott is reading. Drew gave a very specific distance on his, which was 16 kilometers at the time. It would be more because I was at the show when he was at home when he gave that. So I'm going to say it's probably closer to 20, in the high 20s kilometers right now. But make no mistake, when we're in the same room recording, those hams are pressed, my friend. Do your parents know you guys are gaga for animals? That is my all-time favorite euphemism for being a furry. Oh, those guys, they're gaga for animals. That's so good. I really like that. Yes, question mark. I guess more so than Drew's based on his answer. Like, the term furry has never come up, although they watch John Oliver and he mentions them sometimes, and I think they understand. I think their general understanding is furries are people who like wear animal mascot costumes. But beyond that, I don't know if they have a lot of the like further details than that. But like, they know what I wear to wrestle. They know I have a bunch of tiger shit. And actually recently I received a painting from a guy in England, and I'm not being general. His name is Guy, so it is in fact a guy in England. Which is I guess a parody painting of L'Absinthe, or Dans un Café, depending on who you ask, by Edgar Degas. But instead of a man and a woman, it's me as a tiger and Adam as a horse. And my parents saw that, and I'm like, hey, check out this this painting from another continent that someone sent, which is pretty cool. And I'm like, yeah, it's me and Adam. Oh, and it was my mom that said, oh, Adam's a horse like you're a tiger. And I'm like, yes, exactly. So like, yeah, they on a level they get it, basically. I'm a tall Puerto Rican gay man who is very willing to experiment with Drew at Steamworks every Friday. That sounds like someone who lives in Vancouver. So you need to start direct messaging, my friend, because Drew and I have been very much wanting to go to a non-gay bathhouse, but maybe we could dip our toe in by going to a gay bathhouse first. So yeah, let's meet up, tall Puerto Rican gay man. Is your fan base made out of gay losers? Well, they may be gay and losers, but what was the third thing? Did you fuck your cat? Did you come on your cat? Did you put your dick anywhere near your cat? Have you ever done anything weird with your cat? Have you promised not to make apology videos after last year's thing? Are you being as short and honest as possible? Let me be clear. I did not fuck my cat. I did not come on my cat. I did not put my dick anywhere near my cat. I have never done anything weird with my cat. I have promised not to make apology videos after last year's thing. I am being as short and honest as possible. Shout out to Shane Dawson, who actually said that stuff. And then a few new anonymous ones came in after Drew had already done his. So, is it sus to comment on old pods? No. Not everyone heard the pods at the time they went up, and if you're going back and doing back catalog, which is fun, by all means do that. Everyone should do that. Imagine there being me and Drew content that you haven't listened to. It seems like a crazy thing to do with your life in not listening to that. So yeah, I usually get the notifications when the comments are made, and I'll try to answer them. When are we going to settle down and have a litter? Soon, my pet. Can I come, sir? You can come when I tell you to come. Come. Do you like being called a good kitty? Yes. Have you figured out the smartest way to answer these anonymous ones is not to type anything out, but just give the timestamp of the recording? Not until you said that, but yes, now. Here's an interesting one that I'm going to have to pose to Drew next week, because it's an interesting one. Anthrosurgery is real, but you can only do one half. Are you doing top/bottom, left/right, or front/back? That's interesting. I think we can dismiss left/right. That's too weird, although I do love the concept of vertical mermaid. Left human, right fish. Now, top/bottom seems like the most obvious one, but I'm going to come back to the other one. If it's just top/bottom, I would do whichever half included the tail, because the idea of getting the surgery and no tail seems ridiculous to me. So if that means bottom, fine. Like, bottom would be fine, and like wouldn't greatly affect day-to-day life. Just like different legs, different feet, tail, cool. Same top half. It would be a bummer not to have the cool top half stuff, namely like, head and face stuff. But or if it was the other way, I don't know if I love the aesthetics of the other way. If it's top, like, and then just a weird pair of human legs on the bottom. I don't know if I love that. So yeah, so maybe bottom if it includes tail. That's something. And then front/back is interesting too. If it's not like a hard line down the sides and it sort of blends and tapers more nicely, back is not a terrible option. You get a nice fuzzy back and a cool tail. Again, you don't get the face stuff, so front would be nice, but again, no tail. So yeah, a very interesting question. I'm gonna throw that to Drew as well. What's it like being a sex symbol? Pretty cool. Are you two members of The Residents? Be honest. I had to look this up. It's apparently like an experimental Vancouver band that's been around since 1969, where the members wear eyeball masks. And I guess they've obviously had like rotating members. I don't think everyone has been in the band for 55 years. But yeah, in answer to your question, yes. We've at least guested with them for sure. That brings us to the YouTube questions. So Shinobu, aka Noted Non-Creep Brandon, brings to us, this is one Drew spent some time on, and I probably will too. What are the top 5 wrestling matches you think are worth watching for someone who doesn't really watch wrestling aside from your matches? It's me. I'm that person, he says. Yeah. that is so hard. I actually one I agree with him for sure is the Chris Benoit, Kurt Angle, Royal Rumble 2003. If I was to hazard a guess at the date, January 19th, but don't quote me on that. It's pretty fantastic, and I think would make a fan out of a lot of people as long as you're not too put off by one of them being a family murderer and the other being Chris Benoit. Yeah, it's interesting because I wouldn't just say what I think are the 5 best matches. Also, I have no idea what I would say for the 5 best matches. But you have to think more in terms of like what would make a non-fan a fan. So I think there's a few different things that would appeal to non-fans. I think big athletic, flippy gymnastic stuff is cool to a lot of people. So that's one thing. I think incredibly like legit hard hitting stuff is going to impress a different segment of people, and comedy probably is going to be fun for non-fans too. So those are kind of the routes I would go down in terms of recommending to people. One match that's super fun is it's from the Japanese promotion Toryumon, Toryumon, which shortly after actually became Dragon Gate and still runs today. So they did on August 30th, 2003, they did a 4-way trios match, which means 4 teams of 3. So it's a 12-person match of 4 different factions who just do this like bonkers, incredibly well choreographed. So well choreographed it doesn't look choreographed match. I'm sure it's on YouTube or like a Daily Motion or something, but it's so much fun and so rewatchable. That one's great. For a hard hitting, another thing I wouldn't recommend to non-fans to make them fans, even though they're some of the best matches ever, are really long matches, because you're gonna want to. Attention span is a thing. So you're not going to want to open with like, hey, check out this like epic 45-minute match. Because for someone who doesn't know wrestling that well, to watch one match for longer than a television episode, they might get bored, even if it's a fantastic match. So I'd go with a shorter. There's New Japan Pro Wrestling. It's August 2003. Maybe the 2nd, maybe the 4th. Who's to say? I'm not looking at it. Maybe the 1st. It's August. It's early August. First week of August, I nearly promise you. Katsuyori Shibata versus Tomohiro Ishii is it's not that long, and they just go balls out and beat the shit out of each other, and you gotta love it. What else is fun? I think Drew also mentioned Eddie Guerrero versus Rey Mysterio Jr. from WCW Halloween Havoc 1997, which feels like, October 26th? I wonder if I'm nailing any of these dates or if I'm weeks and months off in all of them. I'm probably not months off for Halloween Havoc, but the other ones. If anyone wants to fact check me, don't. Unless I'm right, then do it and tell me I was right. But that's a great one. It's not that long. It is spectacular in terms of what they do by 1997 standards, and even still pretty impressive now, which is actually wild because in the last 25 years, there's been a lot of advancements in the gymnastic aspect of wrestling. So yeah, that one's great actually. And what else? Any other like? I guess the one other sort of style in terms of just like people that might appeal to non-fans in besides hitting each other hard is like actual deathmatch shit. So if you're a ghoul who likes blood and weapons, then then that's another route to go too. What's a good one there? There's Tomoaki Honma and Ryuji Yamakawa had two great ones in July 99 and January 2000 in Big Japan Pro Wrestling. Those are, although I'd probably recommend something else because those are great wrestling matches that also have weapons. But if we're talking balls to the wall weapons, Necro Butcher versus Toby Klein from IWA Mid-South King of the Death Matches 2003, which feels August-ish 2003. But you know what? My second August 2003 recommendation, a good month. That's a good one. And then a lot of recent Big Japan Pro Wrestling and Freedoms, another deathmatchy promotion. Really, almost any of their matches because each promotion has an actual deathmatch title. Most of their matches for those titles are pretty good and have some wild shit. Keep an eye out for Jun Kazai, Masashi Takeda. They do some real shit. And most of it I'm good with. The tables, the chairs, the light tubes, the thumbtacks, I can all wrap my head around. But in recent years, they've done some stuff that is upsetting to watch. The board full of open scissors and sometimes just knives are kind of scary. And the syringe needle through the cheek, not a fan. And of course they take it to the umpteenth level in that they don't just like stick it through his cheek, take it out, and go to other stuff. No, stick it through his cheek and then like wrestle with it in your cheek for like 10 minutes. It's something. If this sounds like it might appeal to you, check it out. If not, that's okay too. It's gross. Brian Palmer, first Brian of the night. And a wrestling question. Did Jordynne Grace steal your steroids? Why is her face like that now? Does Kelly have a Cody Rhodes body pillow? Is Manscaped going halfsies on Little St. James? Jordynne Grace definitely stole someone's steroids. I don't like what she has done to her body. I think she's disgusting looking. And hot take. I don't think are they married now? A husband, fiance, whatever. Jonathan Gresham is psyched about it. He may tell you he's like, oh, he's so proud of her that she's gotten in such great, disgusting shape. Look, Jonathan Gresham, at the end of the day, is a small black man. And when he got together with Jordynne Grace, she was a fat white bitch. And all was well with the universe. And then she had to go and toy with nature. But yeah, fat baby Jordynne Grace is the correct Jordynne Grace. And don't get me wrong, she looked ridiculous then too, but it was a ridiculous I could wrap my head around. I don't know what she's doing now. It's nuts. Does Kelly have a Cody Rhodes body pillow? I'm going to say, yeah, Drew had very specific answers about that. Kelly, obviously, huge Cody Rhodes fan. Definitely doesn't find him massively overrated like Drew and I do. But I can definitely see Kelly being a body pillow man. I'm going to say he does have a Cody Rhodes body pillow, but Cody Rhodes is a wolf. Now that I say that, I bet I could sell those. And is Manscaped going halfsies on Little St. James? By the time they actually pay us, if they do, the amount they'll owe us will be enough to go halfsies on St. James. So I'm thinking, yeah. Also, as leader of the recently formed Bry Union, how do you respond to our demands of equal representation? We're willing to accept Drew changing his name to Brian. I think that's the least Drew could do, honestly. I think if that will satiate your needs, I think we can start the paperwork on that immediately. Sea-Dog says, how do you sleep at night? Drew had the one and only correct answer for that. On top of a pile of money, surrounded by many beautiful women. Pipe Paz. Why you cat? 3 question marks. I think we've both separately answered that. It's the best thing to be. Like I'm all for diversity, and when I say that, I'm not, but it's the right thing to say. but I can't wrap my head around not being a cat. When that's an option, why would you look elsewhere? Also, I want to go to Canada someday. What would be the best place to visit? I mean, Vancouver's pretty cool. Really, its only drawback is how expensive it is, but otherwise, like, there's not a lot of places around where you get the mountains and the beach within an hour or less of each other, which is pretty cool. Forests, hiking, nightlife, restaurants. I mean, it's pretty good. If you want more of a New York-y vibe, do Toronto. And if you want people to be racist to you about not speaking French, go to Montreal. And those are all 3 cities in Canada. If you're going pure nature, go Jasper or Banff, Banff. 2 of the prettiest towns I've seen in my travels between BC and Alberta. Bluey Anarchy, ! says, answer this question without saying no, please. Are you, and please say yes, are you, and even if the answer isn't yes, say yes anyway, are you gay? Yes. Here's Sonex. Okay, I have only 2 questions, followed by 5 questions. For someone that doesn't like wrestling like me, can you explain what's the deal with wrestling? Well, it's like fucking a 17-year-old, but no, okay. The deal with wrestling is it is this extremely unique combination. And now that I've said extremely unique, I'm furious with myself because you can't qualify unique. It's binary. It's either unique or not. It is this unique combination of things that doesn't exist anywhere else in entertainment or in the world. It's a combination of sports and performance art and combat and acting and gymnastics and strength and improv, and it's so cool. Like, it's so many different things. Like, it's not just play fighting, it's figuring out what you're going to do in the ring, then it's executing that in the ring and how you execute it. And then there's the non-wrestling aspects of it. There's, just when you're talking, when you're on the microphone, there's your improv, your acting. There's so many disparate elements that go into it. It is so unlike anything else. It's not sports, and it's not just like acting or entertainment. It's this weird, crazy, beautiful combination of all of those things, and that's why I love it so much. And I feel like I could make a fan out of most people given the opportunity. A question about Drew lore. If you had a perfect clone of Hitler that it's 6 inches long, would you torture him? Do you think that it's ethically correct to do so? No. Drew went into the does the tiny clone of, does little Hitler, if you will. Does he have the same feelings? Would he do the same things as regular Hitler? I don't think that even enters into it. I mean, little Hitler didn't, to my knowledge, he didn't do anything. He's a clone. He's a victim of circumstance. He didn't do little Holocaust. So what am I torturing him for? Look, if I tortured him, it would just be because I could torture a 6-inch tall person. It would not be because it was Hitler. You know what I mean? All right. Would you get a surgery that increases your IQ by 25 points, but it would leave a giant scar on your head and face? So we're talking about a surgery that increases my IQ to 192. I don't know if I need to go that high at the expense of not having a giant scar. I think 167 is plenty. This is my backdoor, not so subtle way of noting that my IQ is 167. Also, they don't mean much, but if they do, mine's high. And also, it was 192 the IQ that Keith Rainier, the guy who did the NXIVM cult and is now in jail for 120 years, did he? Because he said I don't know if he said he was the smartest guy in the world or had the highest IQ in the world or both or what, but did he say he was 192? This one I'm actually going to look up. Keith Raniere IQ. Oh, okay, Keith. Okay. 240. I wasn't mad at Keith before. Look, you can brand your initials on all the female genitals you want. But if you go around telling people your IQ is 240, come on, dude. Okay, I'm not a Keith Raniere fan anymore. What is your favorite kind of pizza? I will say this. If I have 2 topping choices, those choices are pineapple and sausage. Then I can expand out from there. You can go more meat. You can do a pepperoni or salami. You can throw some jalapenos on there for spice. You can do whatever. Keep your goddamn olives off my pizza. Anchovies, obviously. Keep them separate but equal. But yeah, that's the move for anyone who's currently having an OCD meltdown about pineapple on pizza. Shut up. It's a common thing. You don't have to like it. That's fine. But shut up and stop making it an internet issue. And here comes Faytan/Eve, who I have asked I'm sure I have asked in the past what the significance of Faytan is and have forgotten. I do know what her other username, Mini Mugun, is, but Faytan has escaped me. So tell me later. And Eve has decided to ask 50 goddamn questions. So I'm starting the 50 questions 51 minutes in, and we'll see what we're at time-wise when I'm done these. So, name a favorite meal, a favorite dessert, and a favorite drink. That aforementioned Martha Stewart Italian sausage pappardelle recipe. That might be my last meal given the opportunity. Otherwise, an excellent steak is hard to beat. Or some choice Mexican, the best tacos, authentic tacos. Not we're not talking old El Paso hard shell. Or a little fancier, chimichanga, enchilada, a wet burrito. Favorite dessert? I love a creme caramel. A lot of people are going to tell you creme brulee. I don't want to have to dig my way into my dessert. I don't think you should have to have power tools to crack through a dessert. Just a nice creme caramel. Those are made well. Those are delicious. One of the best singular desserts I can recall is a chocolate lava cake, which is fine. I wouldn't call it in general one of my favorite desserts, but I had one at Morton's Steakhouse when there was a Morton's in Vancouver in better days. And the one there, I don't know what they did, but holy shit, that was a dessert. Also a chocolate pie. Chocolate pie is nice. Chocolate pie, Oreo crust, whipped cream. Yeah, that's what's up. Favorite drink. In the alcoholic realm, I have lately been obsessed with tiki drinks that involve the ingredient falernum. Ever since I had it at some cocktail contest I was at some years ago. It's falernum itself is not alcoholic. It's just like a bar syrup. Its primary flavors are lime, ginger, almond, clove, I believe, and it just creates this really cool, interesting flavor. So anything like something falernum gin citrusy is an awesome mixed sort of tiki-ish drink. Non-alcoholic, I mean, I do like a lot of energy drinks. Beaver Buzz is really good. Balls, really good. Yeah. And coffee. Just it's hard to beat a great iced latte. What was your favorite cartoon as a kid? Drew said Simpsons. That's definitely a thing for me as well. Sounded like he was not allowed to watch it up to a certain point. Same for me. I definitely wasn't allowed to watch it until I was 10. When I definitely had friends from sort of age 8 on who were watching it and seemed real psyched about it, and I couldn't wait to be allowed to. So yeah, Simpsons for sure. Definitely the most like formative show I watched. In terms of more kid-centric things, Ninja Turtles, the 80s, maybe into 90s series. I don't know how long it went. And there was a lesser known, I guess it was Conan the Barbarian cartoon, that was on before school for a while that I would watch every day. Also, just the idea of being awake long enough before school at 8 something to be able to watch television, just that's a different Scott. Yeah, and that one was cool. I think largely because Conan had like a team, and part of the team was this like married couple who turned into wolves at night, I think, and I thought that was cool for some reason. Who knows why? What goal are you working to achieve in the next year? I guess I don't have as specific a one as Drew and his film, but I'd like to do something, it'd be nice to do something bigger in wrestling than I've done currently. So like that would be a nice goal. I don't know exactly what that would be. Working for a bigger promotion, getting flown somewhere international for it would be cool. So yeah, that would be good. And I don't know, I could lose like 20 pounds, but we'll see. If you could have lunch with any person, living or dead, fictitious or real, who would it be? And who is the last person in the world you'd want to eat with? Man, Drew had a real good one for that with James Corden. That's real good. I might go if I don't want to be a copier, I might go Russell Brand for not, because I don't know. I don't think he's a bad guy. He just doesn't seem like my kind of hang. And lunch with any person, living or dead. Drew went like earnest and personal with his grandfather, which I guess I can't do now. Again, on fear of being accused of copying. I would with my grandfather on my mom's side, for very similar reasons to Drew. He died when I was 17 or not quite, late 16s. Yeah. And yeah, like spent lots of time with him, but I was a kid, and it would be cool to get to know him more as an adult. But let's think famous people. I mean, Little Hitler, obviously. He'd be an option. This is one I wish I had thought about beforehand. For the sake of not having this go forever, I'll think about this and get back to you, Eve, or maybe get back to everyone on the pod. But I think for my no answer is Russell Brand. Just off the top of my head, for lunch, for having lunch with them, George Carlin I think would be very cool. He's because like I love comedy, I love comedians, and he's one of the best. And I think unlike some comedians, I wouldn't need him to be on. I don't need him to be doing his act when we're having lunch. I would just like to pick his brain. Like he was brilliant, and also just like you could see from interviews and stuff, he's also a regular guy. So it wouldn't be, I don't think it'd be a weird interaction. So yeah, maybe my guy's George Carlin. What's a non-wrestling talent you're proud to have? I've got a pretty good brain for trivia and other stuff of that ilk, which I hope to use on Jeopardy one day. We'll see. So I'm proud of that. I'm proud of pretending to be smart. And then I guess it's not really non-wrestling because the place I use it the most is wrestling, but I use it in golf and other athletic endeavors. But just generally being considerably more athletic than I look is a fun talent to have. Definitely better than the other way of being of looking like an incredible athlete and just sucking. Although that's actually kind of really funny. I kind of dig that now that I say it out loud. What's a talent I wish I had? Art. I wish I could draw. I am the worst artist. Now that being said, if I was a fantastic artist, my life would be markedly different because I would be a rich and powerful furry porn artist. So we've said before, Kelly and I have talked about this a lot actually. Like it seems like too much power. It's probably for the best that we can't draw because it would be very consuming otherwise. I think it's better that I have to go to others for art instead of just being able to make whatever disgusting thing comes to my mind. It flawlessly. But man, the people who can do that, I am really jealous of those people. I am not jealous of much. I'm jealous of amazing artists, for sure. What's an unusual hobby or behavior you have that not many other people have? Unusual hobby. Well, I have many unusual behaviors, but I don't care to speak about them on the podcast. I get what was Drew? With Drew's was collecting Blu-rays, right? Yeah. So I guess on a similar autistic OCD collecting level is hoarding media, just not necessarily physical media. Like I have, what are we looking at here? Like probably close to 50 terabytes of hard drive that I'm looking at right now with how many? 14 full thick binders of burned DVDs behind me, and then what was until very recently a whole other room of wrestling VHS and DVDs, which I just finished converting my last VHS to DVD. And that may not mean much to you, but for someone who at peak probably had at least 1,500 wrestling VHSs, and I might be undershooting on that, to have finally converted all of them. And P.S., you have to convert them in real time. There's no VHS or analog, so you can't do it quick. It's so nice to have that done, actually, and I just met a guy today via Facebook Marketplace who took my last 300 VHSs off of my hands for a little bit of money. Not much, but it beats throwing them out. So that was pretty cool. I wish I had thought to, because all the other ones I just threw away when they brought the big bin around. So I wish I had sold all the previous ones too. I missed out on probably, I don't know, $400 over a number of months and years. But yeah, so that. What's your biggest pet peeve? People's knees. Without naming each other, who are your 5 most favorite people to work with on wrestling shows? Drew was really mean and said, as if I would say Scott given the opportunity. You would say Scott given the opportunity. We work fucking great together, and you hurt my feelings with that. So besides Drew, who I would say, Kelly, who Drew and I got to work in February for the first time in years, since before COVID. Daniel Makabe, also same as Drew. B-Boy, also same as Drew. So that's 3. So who does that leave? Damn, I mean, after my match this weekend, I almost want to say Tony Baroni, because we had a real good one this past Saturday, which will be up on the YouTube soon enough. Who else? Drew said Pitfall Jones. It's a good pick, but I'm not going to pick him. Hopefully he's not listening, because he books me. Pitfall, you're close. You're close if you're not there. Who am I missing? Who do I get psyched when I'm in there with them? I'm trying not to go recency bias, but like Jackie Lee is so easy to do anything with. So like maybe him. I've only tagged against him twice and with him once as of also this weekend. I had a busy weekend, guys. I don't know if you heard. Yeah, Jackie and that doesn't matter how about I speak English? Doesn't matter that much. Let's stick with Tony until I think of a better one. If Jeff Cobb counts, I have had 2 matches with him. Then him, because he was great and super easy, and we had fun stuff. Why'd I go this low? How do you feel about marriage? I also think it's antiquated. It's weird that we're still doing it. I don't see myself ever doing it. It's not like a 100% hard no. Like, I guess you could convince me to do it, but why are you convincing me to do it? Is sort of my thinking. Like, I don't see if you like are a couple and live together what actually getting married changes. So it seems like an unnecessary extra step. And weddings. Weddings I don't if I got married, I don't know if I'd do a wedding because it seems very selfish. It's a whole look at me day, and I don't like look at me days. I don't even like my birthday for that reason. I like Christmas because everyone gives everyone presents, but birthday when everyone just gives me presents, it feels weird. I'm not into it. Who's your favorite Sailor Scout? Moon? I don't know it very well. What's a movie or show you would like to see remade into a film? For extra points, who would direct, who would star, and who would do the score? Again, one I wish I had thought about before arriving at it. I would go... I'm trying to think television shows. A TV to film adaptation. Oh, you know what would work, I think, is a film adaptation of The Leftovers. Pretty recent show, actually. Like, I don't know, 2017, 18, 19-ish. Somewhere in there. It's by one of the 2 Lost guys, and I am convinced it is his apology for Lost. Because it's the absolute antithesis of Lost. Lost starts super cool and mysterious and then just gets worse and worse and stupider and leaves you very disappointed. Whereas this one, there definitely is some mystery, but it is so not about the mystery. It's just about dealing with it, and it ends so well. It's such a good ending. It's reverse Lost, and it's great. The basic premise is... I should probably look it up, actually, but I feel like off the top of my head, either 2 or 3% of the world's population, just 2%. So 2%, 140 million people, just disappear one day. It's called The Sudden Departure. And you don't see that happen. There's maybe a couple flashbacks to it, but you start some months, maybe even a year after that, and it's not about figuring out how these people disappeared. The people fucking disappeared. They're gone. There's no indication they're coming back, and you have to deal with it. And it's one of those. And I've talked about if we're talking about listening to back episodes, listen to season 2 where we do our top 10s of each year of the 2010s, because I'm sure this kind of thing comes up. But I have very eclectic taste, but one thing I really like, and this I'm gonna have to figure out how to articulate this, is movies that make me feel a certain way, a style of movies that and TV shows, because The Leftovers does, that make me feel a certain way. I guess the closest thing in terms of genre is magical realism. Like, a movie or show that's largely grounded in reality, like this is what would happen in real life, but there's something extra to it. There's some weird thing that probably wouldn't happen in real life, or some, some aspect to it that's a little bit beyond. And in the same way, I like comedies that are mostly real, but with a little extra absurdism to them. So I guess this is my drama. I guess magical realism is my drama version of absurd comedies, if that makes sense. Both of which I love. And I think the reason I love it, in terms of at least being able to try to explain it, is it's a movie and not real life. Like, you could make something that reads like a documentary, but also you can do anything. So why not make it a little weirder, more interesting than real life, right? Nothing wrong with something that's totally down to earth, totally, could completely happen in real life, but you've got the opportunity here to go a little wilder. So go a little wilder. And I like going a little wilder without going too wild to where it's, full sci-fi or fantasy or whatever. So that's what I like, and that's really where The Leftovers falls. And then for the bonus questions on that, let me see. Who would direct? Who would star? Direct? You know what? I was about to say Charlie Kaufman. Charlie Kaufman should write it. Spike Jonze should direct it, because it's obviously a very different plot, but Spike Jonze's Her is another one of those makes me feel a certain way movies. Was in fact both me and Drew's number one movie of the 2010s as a decade. And yeah, like, a lot of it could happen in real life, but there was something more to it. So I think Spike Jonze would do a great job with it. And I think, like, The Leftovers was a 3-season show. I think you could do a really good 2 to 2.5 hour movie of it. Who would star? Justin Theroux's the star of the television show and does a great job. But to mix it up, I don't know. Robert Pattinson would be cool. Jon Bernthal? There's some options. Yeah, that one I'd have to think about. And also, it's kind of an ensemble cast, too. Carrie Coon is sort of the female lead. She's one of the main females in the show. I don't think I would recast her. She's fantastic. Yeah, so that's... and who would do the score? Drew is going, popular band musicians. Is that a phrase? In the vein of Reznor and Ross and whatnot. Yeah, I like that. I would never say no to Johnny Greenwood from Radiohead, who did Phantom Thread, which is one of my favorite scores in some time. And also maybe Carter Burwell, who should have won the Oscar this year for Banshees of Inisherin and didn't. And my apology to him would be getting to score The Leftovers, the movie. What's an activity you've always wanted to try? Not skydiving. You're on your own on that one, Drew. That's a good question. I don't think I've water skied before. That I could do. You know what? I haven't parasailed. That seems fun and less dangerous than falling out of a plane. So maybe that. Is there a weakness or flaw you're struggling to overcome? Yeah. A few, but people pleasing is kind of something I have to figure out, because I think at the end of the day, I'm really in any given interaction and in general, I'm scared that the one person or everyone won't like me, and the way it's gone lately is I get a lot of DMs from a lot of people on various platforms, Twitter, Telegram, whatever else, and I'm so scared to, even if I like am not even particularly into talking to them, or even if I am and I'm just kind of exhausted at the time, I'm so scared to leave people hanging or make them feel ignored, because I'm like, I the, as an empath, the worst way you could ever open a sentence. But I'm empathetic to people in that I always try to put myself in their position, and I'm like, well, if I message this person, I would want to hear back from them. So that's what I try to do. But it's so much, and I need to figure out a way to do better with it, because there are numerous days per week that it takes up literally hours of my time, and honestly, and most of the people I'm happy to talk to, like, and if it was just the one person, great, but it's 50 people, and it's a lot, and it's not good for my time management, and and I think the main reason I'm doing it is people pleasing, and I guess I need to worry about that less, but yeah, I don't really know how to handle it right now, but I guess hire a social media team to pretend to be me and answer people's messages is the move on that one. Yeah, I'll try to figure it out. I don't know. What food / drink do you absolutely hate? I don't like any kind of fish, and by that I mean fish. Most shellfish is fine. Crab, lobster, shrimp, prawns, mussels are all right. I don't need clams or oysters in my life, but yeah, but anything that's a fish, I don't care for. And then there's some vegetables I don't like. I don't love asparagus. Stuff in the cabbage family I don't care for. Bok choy, Swiss chard, a lot of leafy greens I don't need in my life. Spinach is fine because it's very mild. And then a lot of stuff in the bitter family I don't care. I don't particularly like vinegar or things that are vinegar forward. If it's an ingredient in something, that's fine, but like, I'm not going to do salt and vinegar chips because it's too much vinegar. So that kind of stuff. And then your savory dairy products as opposed to sweet dairy product, like sour cream, buttermilk, don't like them. Anything that's too close to cum, I think, is off-putting for me. What else? Drink kombucha. Gross. Why didn't you put a cap on how many questions people can submit? Hindsight 2020. Didn't think anyone would ask 50 questions, of which I'm on 16 right now. What movie did you assume you would hate but grew to love after you saw it? Love is strong, but just in terms of like pleasant surprises, one that comes to mind is the first Pirates of the Caribbean. I went in expecting to hate it, and I'm like, oh, that was pretty fun. I didn't love it, but way exceeded expectations. And I'm sure I mentioned a bunch in the aforementioned season 2 of the pod when we did our top tens of the 2010s, and actually season 3 when we did all the fixing the Oscars too, because there was a lot of Oscars movies that I didn't watch, partly because they were Oscars movies in the 2000s, not the 2010s, and because I was considerably more pretentious about movies in the 2000s, Um, and yeah, like there were so many quote unquote mainstream movies I just completely avoided because I'm like, I'm better than that. They don't speak French in this movie. That when we went back and watched those, I was like, oh, that was good. There's a bunch of sort of crime movies in the crime mystery whatever movies in the 2000s that I never watched that were great. Like Gone Baby Gone was really good. In the Valley of Ella was really good. I think there's a couple others that I'm forgetting. And then I wasn't even watching good directors in the 2000s for some reason. I wasn't watching a bunch of like Scorsese and Clint Eastwood. Like Changeling was really good. The Aviator was really good. So I'm glad I ended up watching all of that stuff for the podcast. Love is Blind question, not for me. If you could visit any place on Earth for a week, all expenses paid, where would it be? I'm going to accuse Drew of copying because my 1 and 2 are also Japan and Italy, and I think Drew copied me from the past. What's something stupid you did as a kid? I think I was pretty young, but I definitely thought perhaps was pronounced furhaps for a while. I like that. And then there's a bridge in Vancouver, which I think has been renamed the Iron Workers Memorial Bridge, but at the time was the Second Narrows Bridge, which is, I believe, what the body of water it goes over. And I thought it was the second narrowest bridge, almost a world record, but not quite. And upon going over it, I'm like, this isn't that narrow. It's 4 lanes. I mean, come on. So yeah, those are 2 dumb things that I can recall. There are probably other stupid things I thought and did as a kid too, but that was a long time ago. That was at least 10 years ago. Is there something you did or didn't do that you deeply regret? Getting caught shoplifting in front of my mom in my 20s. Not a good look. It's, you know how you have that thing where everything's going fine, and then you lie down to go to bed, and then you think, hey, I think I'll ruin my night by thinking about this. That's mine. Who's the worst fan you've ever had to deal with? Like I said before, luckily, no real specific ones come to mind, which means ideally there haven't been any like terrible fans. Just the less than favorable ones are the ones that smell, the ones that are too autistic to talk to like a real person. And the ones who, and this also might include the last category as well, the people who don't know that it's time for the conversation to be over because there's other people here I have to talk to and other things to do with my life. Actually, I had one of those on Friday at the show. Not autistic. He talked like people. But he was there with his girlfriend, and his girlfriend knew very early on that it was time for it to be done, and he was not letting it be done. And because I'm a people pleaser, I will fucking stand there and talk to you for as long as you deem fit. So there you go. Do I have any phobias? Don't love spiders. Don't love heights. Heights are fine. Falling from heights, I'm scared of. If there's I can be at the top of a tall building, that's okay. If I'm on the balcony of a tall building with a short railing, then I'm scared because I could fall from that height. And I missed one just above, actually. What would be your ideal first date? I don't do a lot of dating, if any. But, I don't know. Something fun? I don't have a good answer. I'm not a dater. Where were we? If you suddenly won $5,000, what would you do with it? Is it boring to just say put it into the surgery fund? If I won and had to blow Oh man, if I wanted had to blow $5,000, yeah, probably get some kind of like crazy sick wrestling gear. I think that would be, or wrestling gear or high end golf clubs would probably be it. If for that level of money and I have to spend it, I'd say that's where it's going. What's the best generic ice cream flavor? Vanilla. Don't sleep on vanilla. It's a classic for a reason. And what's the best flavor ever? I mean, Baskin Robbins Gold Medal Ribbon is pretty damn good, although not overly complicated. Vanilla chocolate caramel. Or some wacky Cold Stone Creamery thing, some kind of cake batter with the caramel and marshmallows and who knows what the fuck else. Ooh, Ben & Jerry's fish food, also a nice piece of business. When associating with or dating someone, what's an instant deal breaker? I loved Drew's fucking virtue signal on this one. Oh, if they're we like to have fun and we tell jokes, but if anyone's actually racist or homophobic or transphobic, deal breaker. Shut up, Drew. I've heard you in the car. A lack of sense of humor, I think, would be the biggest deal breaker. Yeah. Or, being Chinese. What's your favorite Myers-Briggs personality? What's your favorite? No. What is your Myers-Briggs personality type? What aspect of that type is especially true? What aspect doesn't match at all? I'm an INTJ, the analyst. Most of it is very accurate. I think the one thing that doesn't match, I don't think a lot of other pro wrestlers are INTJ. So that would be the main thing. The I in INTJ I will come back to in a bit with another question. What do you enjoy doing in your spare time? I haven't had spare time since the All Request Spectacular started. But ironically, one of the things I do in my spare time is watch movies and television. Television more than Drew does. Movies probably less than Drew does. But lately it's been movies I have to watch and not movies I want to watch. And then otherwise, golf in when weather permits. Nothing fancy otherwise, just hanging out. You know what? I do actually kind of enjoy it. The aforementioned 50 terabytes of media I have. That requires a good deal of organization, and a lot of it's wrestling where I download the full show but don't want the full show. I just want the good matches from it. So like clipping out and organizing that shit, that provides me with some autistic OCD satisfaction. What's a game you excel at? Well, if golf counts, that. If we're talking like more board gamey stuff, I don't play a lot. I was also pretty good at Settlers of Catan, like Drew said. Pretty good at Connect 4, that kind of stuff. I think I could be good at chess if I spent time on it, but I do not have any desire to spend time on it. And here's the question I just alluded to. What do you wish more people knew or understood about you? I'm an introvert. Because anyone besides my actual personal friends, which in terms of people that know me is, 99+% aren't my personal real life friends. And they just see, Public Scott. And Public Scott, you only see me when I'm performing. You see or hear me on the podcast or in front of the crowd at a wrestling show or on a stream or whatever. and that's all you see, and that's what you think Scott is, and that's not what Scott is. Scott is a fairly strong introvert who happens to be good at performing, and I don't mind doing it. Like I think I can do it well for the most part. But what 99% of you don't see is how much that takes out of me. Like because like this weekend, I it was a rare case where I main evented a wrestling show on Friday, main evented the wrestling show on Saturday, and then streamed all day on Sunday in front of hundreds of people live, and what will be thousands, if not tens, if not hundreds of thousands later on YouTube. And I did it all well. But Monday, I was dead. Like I can't maintain that. I'm pretty good at maintaining what I need to do for as long as I have to do it. But once it's over, I'm done. I am a husk. I need to be alone by myself, left alone to recharge and be able to do things again. I couldn't do anything. I was going to record this yesterday on Monday. I couldn't. I literally couldn't. I had it all. I had the mic plugged in, Audacity up, ready to record. I'm like, I can't fucking do this right now. I do not have it in me. So yeah, and people don't see that. I like even in lower level stuff, like at a party or something, like I have to go to the bathroom for a while and just be alone, because just being around a bunch of people consistently for a long time like really like stresses me out, and I don't even know if it's stressing me out, but like takes a lot out of me. Like the very base level thing is like extroverts get their energy from being around people, introverts get their energy from being alone, and I very much do. And so as far as things I wish people knew about me is that Real Scott is not Performance Scott. I mean, Performance Scott is a part of Real Scott, and it's like it's a thing I do, and it's mainly how I make my money, and I'm pretty good at it. But if I had to do it all the time, I would actually die. Like not not exaggerating. Like I need to. I can do what I got to do, but then you have to leave me alone for a while. And it's not an antisocial thing, I don't think. It's just like, it's just what I need. And I find performing like really exhausting. And also shout out to Drew for his answer to this question, which, one, I'm glad he said, and two, makes me sad that it's the case, even though I assumed it was. Like, because he basically said, you know, when basically people favoring me on the podcast. Like, if I'm the person who brought you here, great. I mean, I'm happy you got here, but now that you're here, there's two of us, and it's a 2-person show, and I couldn't do it without Drew. I don't even think I'm necessarily better than Drew on the show. I think we're very 50-50 on the show. Like he makes me laugh as much as I make him laugh. And like his output on the show is every bit as good as mine. So yeah, like when Drew says like, hey, like it'd be great if you followed me on this stuff, and I also say it, but then like people only follow me. Yeah, and again, like putting myself in the other person's position, that sucks. So like, for real, this is a team show. This isn't a Scott show. My stream with Adam, that's a Scott show. That's I'm carrying the shit out of that. So, you know, by all means. But yeah, this show is both of us, and would not be what it is without both of us. So what would warm my heart is if you gave Drew every bit as much love as you gave me, because he deserves it. What's something you wish you could change about yourself? I guess I've kind of hit that before with the people pleasing, and then separately, I could be less fat. I think I wouldn't want to be skinny. I don't have a skinny vibe, and tigers aren't skinny. Tigers have some chonk to them, but yeah. Oh, and I guess completely changing my physical appearance into an anthropomorphic tiger would be the correct answer to that question. What made you laugh the hardest in your life? We've had a couple good ones on the pod, which I think is a separate question that we'll get to. The one that sticks with me is driving to Seattle in 2003 for WrestleMania 19. It was me, Daniel Makabe, and also former VCW wrestler Lenny D and his girlfriend at the time, Andrea. And I don't know who put it on, but it was from Hulk Hogan's music album. The title of the song being Hulkster in Heaven. With the premise of the song is a song he is singing to a sick boy who used to come to shows in England and sat in the front row, but then wasn't there anymore because he died. But the fun thing is that the kid's not real. It's not based on anything. And just the gravity and earnestness of the song when you think about, one, who's singing it, Hulk Hogan, and just the fact it's a totally made up story. We were dying collectively, and like I was laughing so hard I almost crashed the car. It was it's so good. If you do yourself a favor, go listen to Hulkster in Heaven by Hulk Hogan, and hopefully you'll see what I mean. What's something you really like about yourself? I think I'm pretty funny. I think I can bring the chuckles when the opportunity calls for it, and hopefully it's just genuinely being funny and not just using humor as a defense mechanism because I'm scared. And from the shoulders up, I think I'm fairly cute. Of the 5 love languages, quality time, gifts, words of praise, acts of service, physical affection, which do you use to express toward others, and which do you like to receive most? Expressing towards others, some combination of like quality time, acts of service, physical affection. As far as liking to receive the most, very much currently, it would have to be gifts, because gifts sometimes include money, and I need money. If I was in a better situation financially, it'd probably be different. Wouldn't be words of praise. I don't need that. Quality time, physical affection, I guess. But yeah, let's be clear. Currently, gifts. What's your go-to order at a coffee shop? Iced latte, little bit of simple syrup. Also, a good coffee shop test to test if a coffee shop is a good coffee shop. Do they have simple syrup on hand? Ideally homemade and not pre-bottled, because I like a little sweet in my coffee. What's your favorite fast food place? I mean, as Drew said, Chick-fil-A is kind of tough to beat, but if I had to go something else, and they're not really fast food prices, but it is a fast food style place, Five Guys. Five Guys is the best fast food style burger, hands down, and I will absolutely fight you on that. Do you have any family holiday traditions? Yeah, like pre-COVID, we would do a Christmas Eve dinner at my uncle's, my mom's brothers, and then Christmas at my parents', and then when people would, and then since COVID, I think we've just been skipping Christmas Eve, and definitely started in 2020. So this is a newer tradition. And my dad offered to cook Christmas Eve dinner in 2020, and which has stuck through at least the next 2 years. Which consisted of Kraft dinner, which is Kraft macaroni and cheese in Canada, with, of course, cut up hot dogs in it, which he affectionately has titled Cheesy Weenies. So that's been Christmas Eve for the last 3 years. It was significantly fancier pre-COVID, but here we are. Christmas itself is usually fancier. My mom has often done a beef Wellington in recent years, or like a stuffed turkey breast, or a spatchcocked turkey. But yeah, always good stuff on Christmas. And then the best tradition for Christmas and any holiday where other family members come over to my parents to eat is once they leave and it's just me, my sister, and my parents, we convene in the living room for what we call a debrief, but in practice is talking shit about all the people who were just there. So that's definitely my favorite holiday tradition. Also, my sister and mom are like Christmas freaks, and for at least 10 years, if not more. 15 at least. They start in November creating this like insane Christmas village display in that same living room, in fact, which has expanded to like a good chunk of the room. Like you buy those like houses from I don't even know where, like garden stores have them, and more than like they pop up seasonally, I guess. But there's the lighthouse, there's the barn, there's the Thai massage parlor, and they have probably 50 conservatively of these fucking things for their village, and then all the the fake snow and the trees and it's a whole thing. And so they like their Christmas. Where I should have double spaced this. What's a guilty pleasure of yours? Furry porn. White milk or dark chocolate? Milk. Milk is, if I had to eat one of the three right now, it would be milk chocolate. I will say white is the most diverse, and you can do the most with it, and it combines I don't really like milk or dark chocolate with a lot of fruits, but white works much better with them. So yeah, white you can do more stuff with, but if I'm just eating chocolate, milk, please. What advice would you give to an indie wrestler rookie? Tricky question, like Drew said. I think the main thing, but it comes with a caveat, is shut up. You don't know as much as you think you do. But I don't want that just to come off like I'm a grumpy veteran, I know everything, listen to me. Because that's not necessarily the case. Because there's a lot of grumpy veterans out there who are veterans in terms of time, but not experience. There's a lot of guys who've been doing it a while who still don't know shit. So I'd say the best advice is figure out the best people to get advice from. I think that in itself is very good advice. Don't see everyone's advice as the same. Figure out the guys who have actually done shit, who actually know shit, who have actually, and who are nice, honestly. Take from them, and find someone that you're like, oh, I wouldn't mind being more like this, and get their advice. And also be flexible. If you kind of like hitch your wagon to someone, and then as time goes on, you're like, they're not as cool as I thought. They're kind of a jerk. Maybe they've been pumping themselves up a lot more than about their experience than they have actually done. Then don't be afraid to ditch them and look elsewhere. A trivial genie grants you 3 trivial wishes. These wishes can not cure illnesses, stop war, bring people back to life, etc. What do you wish for? That's fine. I wouldn't want to do any of those things anyway. I mean, if all of the things that Drew said are on the table, then very much those things. Like me transformation to anthropomorphic tiger, Drew transformation to anthropomorphic snow leopard, and for Drew to never experience happiness again. If it's more trivial than that, because maybe it's trivial to you, but those are the most important things in the world to me, so it's not trivial to me. Would just to be better at Trivial Pursuit. Although I'm already pretty fucking good at it, if we're being honest. Is there an actor or actress who will put you in the theater opening night no matter what the movie is? Who is it? There's definitely some that I will go out of my way for just based on them and not the movie. I'm with Drew on Cate Blanchett. I would throw Tilda Swinton in the mix as well. What guys? I love that Drew's 2 guys were just the guys from Banshees of Inisherin. Both of them are great. I mean, Colin Farrell and Brendan Gleeson can't go wrong. Sam Rockwell would maybe put my butt in a seat. Jeff Goldblum, Bill Murray. Yeah, some of that. Let's just say the cast of The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. What's a fashion or style you wish would make a comeback? Chunky 1990s suits. You've been forced to play Dungeons and Dragons. Which class would you choose to play? Alchemist, Bard, Barbarian, Cleric, Druid, Fighter, Monk, Paladin, Ranger, Rogue, or Wizard. Conveniently arranged in alphabetical order. I believe Drew chose to have sex instead, which is not a bad pick. If I gun to my head, if we're bringing guns back into the mix, Wizard, I suppose, because that seems like the most likely to be able to turn themselves and other people into things. But in general, as it applies to this, I will quote the 21st century philosopher Nicholas Mullen and say, I've gotten into a lot of gay bullshit in my life, but I've thankfully avoided going down the dark roads of anime and role-playing games. Who do you look up to and or aspire to be like? That is a hard question for me because I don't respect a lot of people. There's people I like, but I don't know if I look up to them or aspire to be like them. I have a real anti-authority thing in my brain, and or I don't know, maybe just narcissism. Let's not try to make it too complicated. And yeah, so I don't actually have a good answer for that. What's your favorite joke? When I read this, for whatever reason, the thing that came to mind was the funniest joke in the world sketch from Monty Python, where during World War II, the Allies conceived of a joke so funny that it was killing the Axis, and then the Axis tried to combat it with their own, and they had Hitler. Why has Hitler come up so many times on this already? Broadcasting over the airwaves. 2 peanuts were walking down the street, and one was a salted peanut. Fun. And also, like, if I was to think of a stand-up joke, it might literally be the Anthony Jeselnik cross to the head one that Drew quoted. Truth or dare? If you choose truth, pick again. If you choose dare, comply with the dare of your co-host. Well, we're not together. but I dare Drew to finally suck a dick like a good DL bisexual. How do you like to stay in shape? When motivated, I walk about 10K most days, but there are times, whether personal or outside factor, that I am not motivated. For example, being sick or it raining or me being sore. But otherwise, I try to do that to both keep up a bit of cardio and to not get more fat, which in my adult life, I've done pretty good. I was always a fat kid, and when I was, in grade 11, 12, whatever, when I was done growing, I was about 6 feet, about 220 pounds, and I am still about 220 pounds. I have basically gained, like, I have a bunch of clothes from high school, which I should probably throw away, but that would entail buying new clothes, and who's got the time? And so it's been at least nice to not gain a bunch of weight at any time in my life and just maintain the kind of fat I've always been, and then watch other people from high school get fatter. Like, that's fun for me. But yeah, and then besides the walking, sometimes, sometimes I'll even throw a little running into the walk if I'm feeling fancy, but not so much since I fucked up my back. And on the exercise front, well, now I do like a bunch of stretches and exercises for my back, so it doesn't seize. And as far as muscles beyond the back, the one thing I do actually is those armband things that you yourself gave me, Eve. So thank you for those. I actually use those. What's something you wish you could do more often? Probably eat a nice pussy sandwich. And that is 1 hour and 51, which I think is exactly 1 hour for your 50 questions. You're welcome. The Glitch says, the Glitch. I'm semi-convinced that the Glitch has like a humiliation or being yelled at fetish. Because here's the question, and to expect to ask this question and not be yelled at is unfathomable. I'm going to read the question as written. Would you rather have unlimited bacon but no video games, or games, unlimited games but no games? Even if you replace the last word with bacon, which is probably what you meant to do, it's still horrifically worded. So I don't know if you meant to make a weird, like, absurdist joke here, or if it's just if it's just a series of typos. I'm going to answer your question like maybe you meant it to be asked. If you're just asking bacon but no games, or games but no bacon, bacon but no games. I don't give a shit about video games. Oh no, I can't do the thing I never do except when I'm watching someone else do it on Sundays streaming. I'd be okay. I'd make do. But and I like bacon, so easy. To answer your question as written, would you rather have unlimited bacon but no video games, or games unlimited games but no games? I would take games unlimited games but no games. Idiot. If you had to choose, what would your top 5 favorite films be? What about directors? Jesus, as Drew said, honestly, fuck you for asking that question. It's so hard. It's so hard. I'm going to look up. I'm gonna search a thing both in Telegram and Twitter, because I've had in the numerous DMs I field per day. I've definitely answered this question a lot, and I feel like I have a go-to group of movies. So let's see what we have here. Gimme. Okay, so there's that one, and there's this one. How does this... Okay, that's a decent group. So the ones I tend to say the most are Magnolia, by Paul Thomas Anderson, 1999, Taxi Driver, Scorsese, Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind, 2004, Michel Gondry, Annie Hall, Woody Allen, can't go wrong. Young Frankenstein, Mel Brooks's best work, I think. Honestly, Billy Madison is one of my favorite movies of all time. I don't care, deal with it. And those would be pre 2010s, and then you can very easily see my favorite movies of the 2010s, because we did a whole podcast season on that. So if I can pull it up quick enough, I'll tell you my top 5 of the 2010s themselves. If I click on the worst year of our lives and then click on pictures, nope, it's just in the other stuff. No, it's in the worst year of our lives presents the best decade of our lives. And then I go 2010's top 20. This is very exciting for both of us, I think. At least for me. I actually don't care about you guys at this point. It's just fun being a computer detective. My top 5 of the 2010s are 2015's Anomalisa, 2019's Parasite, 2014's Birdman or the Unexpected Virtue of Ignorance, 2016's The Handmaiden, and the aforementioned 2013's Her. So there you go. And what are my favorites of the 2020s? You say Everything Ever All at Once, I'm Thinking of Ending Things, and Banshees of Inisherin. Maybe my top 3 of this short decade so far. There, that's plenty. That's more than you deserve. Oh, I got the fucking directors too. God damn you. The Andersons, Wes, Paul Thomas, Paul W.S., of course, the best one. It's some Korean guys, Chan-wook Park, Bong Joon-ho, Japanese guys, Hirokazu Koreeda, Takeshi Miike, Iñárritu is great. I mean, Scorsese's an all-timer. Martin McDonagh, I mean, hasn't made a lot of bad stuff. Denis Villeneuve, I don't think has had a miss. Noah Baumbach. David Fincher, Drew mentioned, he's great. Older ones, old Spielberg is great. New Spielberg can fuck off. But yeah, that's a decent amount. I'm gonna file that under more than you deserve. Ragnarok 9999, to quote Hitler, says, "Are you going to hire Tucker Carlson for the podcast now that Fox News has fired him?" I mean, if not now, when? The timing is perfect. I'm sure he's got a lot to say, and I would love to hear it and encourage him. When are both of you going to come out as Homo sapiens? So there's a guy in WWE who's a 7'3" Nigerian guy named Omos, and apparently his fans, much like Taylor Swift's Swifties, are called Homo sapiens, or Slipknot's maggots with an M. Yeah, that was news to me because I don't watch enough WWE to know that. And Ragnarok, if you're also the person who on stream was saying, when are you going to come out as Scoot Sapiens? And then taking umbrage at me asking, what the fuck are you talking about? I mean, Homo sapiens is a pun. It makes sense. I don't care for it, but I understand it. You can't just say Scoot Sapiens and expect me to have the slightest clue what you're talking about. So if you're that person, shame on you. If you're not, there's probably still something you should be ashamed about. So just go through your Rolodex of shame and see what comes up. Limp Bizkit Dreamcast says, as a fan of Big Cats, same here, they kick ass. Scott Y Tiger, Drew Y Snow Leopard. So I've said stuff on this before. So the additional information I'll give now, more on Drew than me actually, because again, me, it's just I mean they're objectively awesome, but it's also just like what. Again, I'm doing so much body language. I'm Italian mothering right now, but it's just what I know I am. It in the same way you're not a horse, unless you're a horse, in which case I'm so sorry. But in the same way that, and you just know it, or or the same way some of you know what gender you are. I know this. Right, and then Drew for why Snow Leopard, and he said in his half his first choice was kind of tiger, which is not a thing I knew until we had seen, I think at the 2021 Vancouver Film Festival, we saw the documentary Maya, on the most gorgeous tiger of all time, who, if you don't believe us, ask the man who married her. When we were walking back to my car, said he dropped that information on me. I didn't know it. He's like, I would have been a tiger, but you already were. I'm like, oh, what? That's incredibly sweet. but I like that he landed on Snow Leopard. I mean, Snow Leopards are also awesome. They're also, I believe we'll be ranking cats later. Don't worry, they do well. And even though at the point of choosing, because it was more of a choice for Drew than it was for me, animal wise, even if maybe it, in a vacuum, it would have been tiger then, I like to think for him, and hopefully it's the case, that since he has been a snow leopard, it's like, the roots have extended deeper and become more ingrained, that snow leopard is right for him, and now is the number one thing. Which actually also reminds me of when we were in Vegas at the secret kitty cat bar. Shout out to the Here Kitty Kitty Vice Den in Resorts World. Adam's cat BF, as he's known, also said that tigers are his favorite big cat, and he would have been a tiger, but, and this is like one of the most adorable things I've ever heard, he didn't think he was big enough, like as a person, to be a tiger, so he went panther. I'm like, that's adorable. Two, more people should do that persona wise. Like, you don't just get to fucking blue sky it. Like, to quote the BC Lottery's motto, know your limit, play within it. Like, not everyone gets to be everything. Look at yourself, see what you are. What can you pull off? And, have some self-awareness. And I respect that so much. So shout out to Cat BF for being the right kind of cat, but also knowing that tigers are number one. Tsar Nirankar, which is a name I've read a number of times, but never out loud, so I hope I did okay. What's it like to be better than Ben and Billy when it comes to responding to comments on their YouTube channel? I mean, we're some of the best, so goes without saying. And I actually hung out with Ben this weekend, and I asked him that, and he said, fuck that guy. Bennett Solomon says 2 things. Firstly, 1, I'm about to graduate college. Any advice on job hunting? Bennett, I think you've already found your full-time job as the Worst Year of Our Lives official animator. Is that not the plan? Please do more. They're the best. We could even probably pay you a little for it, but really not much, because neither of us are good for money. So maybe just keep doing it when you can, and I guess get a fucking real job somewhere. Drew gave some actual good advice. Unless it's a very technical, specific job, job interviews, they're hiring based on you and not as much on your qualifications. So be good in the interview. Be if you're not already, if you are great, you're ahead of the game. But if you're not already, present yourself as someone that people would want to work with. That is the number one thing. So do that. And then your second question was like a 6-page math question, and fuck you. Fuck you. I probably would have been able to do it at some point, but those days have passed. UV says, these ones are just for me. Why haven't you been on Sardonicast yet? Because I haven't been asked, and I'm not going to ask because I don't think I should have to. If you were to be a guest on Sardonicast, what movie would you recommend for the episode? Maybe I'd recommend 2008's The Wrestler. Oh, wait, they already did that without me. They did the movie The Wrestler, and Adam knows someone who is a wrestler, who I'm sure he knows would be happy to be on his much larger podcast than mine. But I guess my invitation got lost in the mail. I'd probably do Roar, because that's a movie that needs to be talked about. If I ever get asked. I mean, look, I could ask him tomorrow, and he'd say yes. Okay? But at this point, I don't know. I don't know if I'm doing it as a social experiment to see if he'll ever actually take the initiative to ask me, or what. But we'll see. What are some good Japanese wrestling videos? Any faves / really good ones? I guess this falls under the best wrestling matches question umbrella. So the stuff I've already mentioned in that early question about stuff for a non-wrestling fan. And then just in terms overall, Drew and I did our top 3 of the 2010s, at least, so I can tell you those. Number 3, Kazuchika Okada against Katsuyori Shibata. New Japan Pro Wrestling, April, I want to say 9th, 2017. Somewhere in there. Shinsuke Nakamura versus Kota Ibushi. These are all New Japan Pro Wrestling because they were pretty untouchable in the 2010s in terms of the kind of elite high-end matches. Nakamura versus Ibushi, January 4th, 2015. And Kazuchika Okada versus Kenny Omega, January 4th, 2017. Yes, 2 of my favorites of the decade took place 3 months apart. So those are all good. Any high-end Tomohiro Ishii matches? He's my favorite wrestler, which is probably an answer to a later question. Other ones, I feel like I should more say wrestlers to look for, and then just find their kind of high-end singles matches. Also, cagematch.net is your friend, because you can just search a wrestler there, click their, there's a little icon there for match guide, and then just sort by ranking, and there's their highest rated matches right there. So in All Japan Pro Wrestling, you're going to want to look for Kento Miyahara, and New Japan I mentioned. In Noah, you're going to want to look for Katsuhiko Nakajima, Keo Kiyomiya, Keno, Kenoh. And then Dragon Gate's a really good promotion, and it's not so much about the individuals as about the group. So just any high-end Dragon Gate matches, often they do lots more. They certainly do big singles matches, and there have been some good ones. But they do lots more multi-person ones because they're a little more Mexican lucha libre inspired than other Japanese promotions. So yeah, I feel like that should be enough to go on, right? Let's not get too crazy here. How did Drew and I become friends? We met on Halloween 2004 when a couple of Drew's friends from Coquitlam, the same city as him, were already doing stuff with us and our little promotion, VCW. And then Drew came, and at the time we were running, we had an actual professional ring for a while, but we're currently outdoors at some guy's house in his backyard. And Drew came on the Halloween show, which was a deathmatch tournament. So I had the added bonus of trying to avoid broken fluorescent light tubes. And I guess didn't hate it because he kept coming pretty regularly. And I think Drew had our time frame about right. We were friendly from the start. But yeah, if we met Halloween 2004, like we probably started like maybe like some extracurricular hangout. This sounds like having sex, but I promise for the most part it's not. Maybe in 2006, like actually doing out of wrestling show stuff. And then by probably 2007 we were like good friends and stayed that way, and perhaps even got stronger to the point of being a pair of non-penetrative bottom heterosexual life partners, which what more can you ask for? If being a wrestler didn't work out, what would be your backup career path? Probably some like gay shit in the sciences, I guess. That's what my educational background is in, but that doesn't seem fun. What I was doing up to the late 2010s, I was in the cell phone industry. I started as like a B2B account manager, and then was doing sort of solely corporate stuff, half of which I liked, half of which I didn't. I actually enjoyed the actual existing account management stuff and hated the sales. But as time went on, it became more and more about sales, and I'm like, this sucks, and I quit. And then they hired me back 2 weeks later as a project manager, which I actually liked a lot. But then just sort of the business for it dried up, and there wasn't enough work for me. So I'm like, okay, well, I guess I'm a wrestler, podcaster, streamer, YouTuber now. So and here we find ourselves. Again, I should have double spaced these. What are some of your all-time favorite TF scenes in media? That's a good question. The problem with one, being a TF fan, and two, being a cat, means we're almost never satisfied with anything. There's much more just like independent, just furry art that is better than most anything I've seen in media. Unfortunately, most of the stuff in media is controlled by big dogs, so it's going to be mostly werewolf transformations. I mean, the classic and kind of standard bearer is An American Werewolf in London. Like, they spend time on it, and it's good, and it's practical effects, and yeah, it's fantastic. Way to go. Is that a John Landis? I think it's a John Landis. Shout out to his son Max. Bought me pizza once and never did anything wrong besides that. Quick sip of Pitch Black. What else is good? I think there's actually some good werewolfy ones in the TV show Being Human. I think I've seen some good ones there. What else? The cat one in the Cat Returns is cute. I feel like I'm forgetting a bunch, but head to what is the site? Is it TF Dimension? Let me see here. TF Dimension. Yes, tfdimension.com, and it's got every TF scene you'll ever fucking need. So, and which is nice on two fronts. One, that it's there and I can go to it when I need it. Two, that it exists, because that means someone besides me is as or more obsessed with TF than me, which makes me feel better and like a little less of a freak. So that's nice. And was there something else I was thinking of there? Just the other side of the coin, which is worst TF scenes, which again, kind of recency bias, but Wonder Woman 1984, where I knew that Kristen Wiig started as Kristen Wiig and ended up as a cat, just in a very general sense. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to watch this movie. And I watched the movie, and I sat through 2 hours and 15 minutes of absolute bullshit. And then Kristen Wiig leaves. Kristen Wiig returns as a fucking bullshit cheetah. Just obviously they went to the Cats 2019 school of making cats. And there's, even though it's like I'm honestly, it's a real, I'm not even mad. I'm actually impressed how they took a central plot point and didn't show it, of Kristen Wiig turning into Cheetah. It's and a lot of it comes down to animators and CG people being lazy, because TFs are very hard to make look good, and even post TF they hate animating tails because they're so busy, and you're doing it from scratch because you don't have existing arms and legs. You're creating a whole new limb that has to look natural, so they try to avoid it at all costs because they're lazy and cowards. What's the example for? Spider-Man No Way Home, the newest one with all three guys. Spoiler, where they just put Lizard in a van for a while so they don't have to show him. Yeah, it's infuriating. It's a difficult life being a TF fan, but I wouldn't have it any other way. Those are Drew questions, and then for both, what are your favorite restaurant experiences? Drew mentioned Anton's local Italian place, which in terms of quality plus quantity is, I agree, very tough to beat. Restaurant experiences, I mean, like a nice, cool, dimly lit, old school steakhouse. Love it. I love a Morton's. There's one in Vancouver called Hy's, HY''S, which is that style. The Golden Steer in Las Vegas, because there's all these, there's a million good steakhouses in Vegas, and I've been lucky to have gone to a couple, but like the Golden Steer is just in this like piece of shit strip mall off the Vegas Strip, with this gaudy yellow awning, and then you go inside and you're just like hanging out with the Rat Pack in beautiful red leather booths. It's so cool inside. So shit like that I love. I like cool little hole in the wall places. Atmosphere is cool. I will always take food quality over atmosphere though. So those come to mind. What are your favorite albums? Let me go to my iTunes here and let's see what my favorite albums are. I'm the very same as Drew. I don't listen to albums really at all. Just single songs on a mix. But yeah, and I keep what I've had forever. I've got playlists going back to the year 2000, and which is crazy because I was only born in 2005. Yeah. So I and then I just add to it as time goes on. So let's see what what albums I have a lot of single songs from in my playlists. Andrew WK, I Get Wet. That whole album fucking rocks. Aquarium by Aqua. Hell yes. What else we got? That's gay boy band shit. I can get back to that later. Capital Punishment by Big Punisher. Hell yes. I'm sure there's a favorite musical artist questions later. At which point I will mention Notorious B.I.G. And then also Big Punisher. And I won't say that Big Punisher is overall a better rapper than Notorious B.I.G. because Notorious B.I.G. might be the best of all time. But in terms of a fat guy who is awesome, Big Punisher might be an even more awesome fat guy than Notorious B.I.G. First of all, he died from being fat and not getting shot. So that's one for Big Pun. And two, like, he takes advantage of all of his organs being bigger than the average person, including his lungs, where he will bust out like 40 bars before he has to take a breath. He's unbelievable. I love him. Who else we got? A surprising amount of Enema of the State by Blink-182. A bit of Bon Iver, a bit of a bit of Bon Iver by Bon Iver. I hated myself as much for that as you did, so don't worry. What else is hot? Chance the Rapper, coloring book is fantastic. A bunch of amazing tracks on that. Maybe one of my favorite albums of the 2010s for show. Childish Gambino is an answer to a later question, which is who are your favorite musical artists? There's no album per se that I have a lot from, but I've got stuff of his from like 7 different albums that I'm looking at, and he is absolutely one of my favorite rappers, which is my favorite genre also, which I think comes up later. There's some Coheed and Cambria, both, let's just call them 3 and 4, the albums, because the actual titles are much longer. What else are we hitting here? Death Cab for Cutie, Plans, and Transatlanticism, which also makes me think of the Postal Service Give Up, which could be my favorite album ever, honestly. And I do believe they're doing a, I guess it's the 20th anniversary of both Death Cab for Cutie playing Plans and the Postal Service, which is also Ben Gibbard from Death Cab for Cutie, playing Give Up, both albums in full at a show in Seattle in October that I should maybe try to go to because that would be kind of sick. What else? Death Grips, The Money Store, hell yes. What else you got for me? Oh, damn. I might individually have almost every track on this album on various playlists on this. Fire by Electric Six. That is truly banger after banger. The Marshall Mathers LP by Eminem. Fall Out Boy, From Under the Cork Tree, and Take This to Your Grave. If I had to pick one, I'd say Take This to Your Grave. Earlier stuff is the best stuff. That is a shocking number of tracks from What It Is to Burn by Finch. I was obviously having an interesting 2002. What else are we hitting here? Get It Together. Some Handsome Boy Modeling School, White People. That's a fun album. A lot of Imogene Heap. Speak for Yourself. Damn, those are all good songs. You know what? Go check that out. Who else? We're getting there. We're already at the J's, guys. Jonesy, Go, which of course Jonesy's the lead singer from Sigur Rós, I believe it's pronounced. Do I have? Again, I probably don't have a ton from any one album by them, but lots from different albums. Looks like Tack is their best album, so check that out. Fair bit from Kendrick Lamar here. Good Kid, Mad City, To Pimp a Butterfly. Kanye West, My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is probably my favorite album by him, but not my favorite thing he's ever done. What else do I see a lot of? You know what? Limp Bizkit, Chocolate Starfish and the Hot Dog Flavored Water. It's a good fucking album. I'm sure user Limp Bizkit Dreamcast is with me on that one. Who else we got? Wait for it. Ooh, My Chemical Romance, 3 Cheers for Sweet Revenge. That's a good one. a few off a Country Grammar by Nelly. Good for me. There's your Notorious B.I.G., lots of Life After Death and Ready to Die. Morbid Guy. It's a shame he died. I guess he was right. Outcast, fair bit there. Lots of their double album, Speaker Box, The Love Below. Lots of cool stuff on that. Panic at the Disco, A Fever You Can't Sweat Out. Good. Passion Pit. I'm glad I'm scrolling through this because that's one of my answers for favorite musical artists. Love Passion Pit. Manners, great album. Gossamer, great album. Chunk of Change EP, good EP. Onto the P's. There's your Postal Service Give Up, almost the entire album in singles. Prince, Purple Rain. Some Radiohead, some The Bends, some Kid A. Real Big Fish, Why Do They Rock So Hard? Good question, and good album. Run the Jewels, I got stuff from all of their albums because they're all good. Again, definitely one of my current favorite acts, and me and Drew's current entrance music would not exist without Run the Jewels. Affirmation by Savage Garden. Now we're talking. Now we're getting into the real shit. Say Anything. You got 3 strong ones there. Baseball, Is a Real Boy, and the Minora Majora EP. We got, there's your Ciaros. Sky. I don't know if non-Canadians would know Sky. I don't know if Canadians would know Sky. But Piece of Paradise by Sky, 1998, is the last album I have paid for. And unless something crazy happens, will be forever. It's so good. Check it out. Sophie, all caps, also dead, very sad. Her last studio album, anyway, I guess there'll probably be some posthumous stuff, but Oil of Every Pearl's Uninsides is such a fucking good album. I think like that and Chance the Rapper's Coloring Book are my 2 favorite albums of the 2010s. Original Pirate Material by The Streets is cool. Come On Feel the Illinois by Sufjan Stevens. Lots of good stuff there. I got a lot of System of a Down, it appears, both from Mesmerize and Toxicity. What else we got? The Team America World Police soundtrack. The self-titled Tenacious D. What else we got? I got some Tiger Army there, who I'm not sure if I actually like or just because that's their name. And we're almost at the end, folks, of albums I have a lot of. I've got some, not that I'm particularly into them anymore, but like Weezer, the Blue Album. Nothing wrong with that. That ain't hurting nobody. I got a few by the 1975, A Brief Inquiry into Online Relationships. So there you go. And that's a lot of it. So that's, again, more than you deserved. Greedy. Have we said what greedy piggies you are? Any drama/weird encounters that both of you are willing to share? We sort of already hit this with like wrestling fans and stuff. Luckily, no like massive drama. I guess the massive dramas have both been with our wrestling promotions, which was 321, which simultaneously shut down for COVID. But if there hadn't been COVID, also probably would have shut down over a completely fabricated rape accusation. And then just this past show, SOS Wrestling, which is the spiritual successor to 321, the co-owner, in a very not fake way, was definitely trying to fuck a minor. And also had no game at it, which is honestly the bigger crime. Like this dude just like what's worse, being a pedophile or having no riz? You decide. But yeah, so that was obviously a lot of drama. The as was actually said out loud by Ethan HD, the mood at the pre-show for the last SOS show was like a funeral. And the news I have on that is they're taking the May show off to get the guy's name off of all the business licenses and stuff, and they're back for the June show, which I really, really hope is the case, because I can't lose 321 and SOS. It's not fair. If both of you got paid by Manscaped $100 billion because of the pay delays, what would both of you do with it? I mean, I think we hit it. You get the surgery, you get the best suit that money could buy, maybe even by, and here's some topical references for you, maybe even by the person who made Jared Leto's cat suit for the Met Gala, which maybe it might be Zeppet who did the the 6 million yen suits that we've referenced numerous times. Yeah, you get the surgery, you get the suit, you get Little St. James. Those are the three, because you wear the suit, and then people say, "Damn, that's a cool ass suit," but I bet you're still a nerd inside. And then boom, pop that suit off. You're even cooler looking under the suit than in the suit, and then you jet off to a pedophile island that you bought. I mean, does it get better than that? No, it doesn't. That's what you do. At $100 billion, I mean, we'd have more than $99 billion left. I don't know. Well, how much, let's blue sky it here and say the surgery's $1 billion. Yeah. So we still got, 98 billion and change. Great. I'd give it to Elon Musk and tell him to make good use of it, because he's the richest guy in the world. So which means he's the smartest and coolest guy in the world too, I believe. Are you listening, Elon? Give me some money. What do we got? If both of you get to choose who your next sponsor of the pod will be, what brand would you choose? Ooh, fun. I think Bad Dragon would be the funniest. I mean, we wouldn't use their product as much as we use Manscaped, but it would be very funny to just give our friends free animal dildos that we've gotten from our sponsorship. More practically, what did Drew say on this? Steak and Blue Chew? I mean, those are both good. I feel like Drew called Blue Chew something other than what it is, and it was funny, but I don't remember. But either of those would be fine. I like beef and boner pills. I've never actually taken a boner pill. I've been given boner pills by a friend of the show, Kevin, who has probably at one time or another given me most types of drugs, but they're like, they're like weird Russian knockoffs, and I don't know if I want to put it in my body. And also my dick works, so great. But it'd be sick to get sponsored by like an amazing furry artist who, for whatever reason, wanted additional advertisement on the pod, although the good ones really don't need to advertise anywhere. They're busy enough. They have a commission queue 2 years long and make $500,000 a year. But if they wanted to advertise and then also give us money or free art, then who's going to be mad at that? Not us, I'll tell you what. What are some of your worst pants shitting stories? I'm not much of a pants shitter. They would all be the last for reals one I can remember. I was quite young. I was sleeping at my grandparents' house for whatever reason, and shit my pajamas and threw them away in the morning in the outside garbage can. And then at a close call, I was still fairly, I was probably 12-ish. I had I walked to my friend's house, I guess, and it was like a bit of a walk. It was probably like a 45-minute walk. And then we like hung out or whatever. And then I walked home, and probably 10, close enough to halfway that it wasn't even worth going back. Realized I really had to shit. And yeah, like sprinted home and like didn't make it in the house, had to shit in the backyard. That was very stressful. Tulika, who thought it was okay to ask 20 questions. I am so passionate about listening to your back catalog that I organized your episodes in different playlists corresponding to different categories. You can see them in my profile and bully me if I did a bad job, which I did a little bit, but overall, good job. Anyway, here's the hard-hitting questions. Is Drew single? Yes, albeit fairly recently. 2. Is Scott asexual? Not all the way, but I'm also not going out of my way for it. Drew answered actually pretty good for me. I think there's a term. Let me see if... Does gray sexual mean what I think it means? As the name implies, gray sexuality is somewhat hard to define, a sexual gray area. The term is intentionally vague to accommodate the people who might fall somewhere between asexual and sexual. They might experience sexual attraction once in a while, but largely don't. I'm sort of that. I mean, I experience sexual attraction for sure. I think it's just that there aren't enough furries in the world. I think it's more that. What is the worst thing about having a cat as a pet? Nothing. What console would you recommend to get as my first one? I would recommend going the Scott route. Here is the correct order, and also only 3 you need. Dreamcast, Sega Dreamcast, Sony PlayStation 2, Nintendo 64. The end. Your work is done. You're welcome. Said in the Don Draper voice, why would you choose to be a furry? If you had a choice between fucking a man and fucking a dog, why would you? Some of that was ad-libbed. Why would you choose to be a furry is the actual question. I don't find it to be a choice. I find it to be the same as it not being a choice to be straight or gay or whatever. Like that's what I'm into, and you got to deal with it, pal. How do you manage to maintain such high energy levels at your age? I think Drew answered this one very well. We're both good enough at self-care that I think we're both kind of young for our age. We're both certainly mentally young for our age. That's for damn sure. But yeah, we're pretty good for energy, I guess, certainly for our age. I think Drew's the same as me in that we can both perform as well and at high enough an energy level for as long as we need to. And then if he's anything like me, he needs to go home and cry afterwards. Also, caffeine. Who's your favorite 20th century philosopher? Bukowski, because he hates women. The worst cocktail you've ever had? I mean, just anything with flavors I don't like in it. I'm not a coconut guy, so that eliminates a chunk of stuff. And I've never had it, but it's a Chicago thing. It's not a cocktail. It's just like one liquor. Malort is apparently disgusting. I've never tried it. Maybe I will one day. Who's to say? How did you meet Adam from YMS? I met him at Rainforest 2012, the now famously canceled furry convention in Seattle. I had been... Here's a little more Scoot furry lore. I had been a furry forever in the very early 2000s. Actually, probably before I even knew the word furry. The only word I was coming across online was were, W-E-R-E, as in werewolf, but were other things also. And there were, I think the site was werelist.com wherelist.com. I'm going to see if it still exists. Now, this is a fun game for me. Wherelist.net? Do you exist? Yes? Okay, sick. Ethereum Throw Up community resource. Love it. I think it was through there. There were like, and they would list local meetups for various cities, and there were some in Vancouver. So I went to some of those in like 01 maybe. Probably right after I guess I got a car in 2000, but early into having a car. And then that kind of fell off, and then I just didn't do anything with other furries for years, really until like 2012, when Drew found out one of his co-workers at the grocery store I worked at the time was a furry, and then I made friends with him, and then he introduced me to like a bunch more people, including Adam at that convention in Seattle, and a lot of my other current friends too. So without Drew working with Manny/Senny, doxed, furry name, I probably wouldn't have a chunk of my current friends, and probably any of my current furry friends besides Drew, who I created. Created is the wrong word. Poisoned? Infected. Infect is the word. That's, you know what? We found it. We landed on it. Presidential or parliamentary system of government. Well, based on what I've seen of the United States, let's say not presidential. What are the geographical boundaries of Drew's fetish for exotic women? I don't know why he had such a hard time answering this. The answer is the continent of South America. What was the last good book you read? When did you read it? Much like Drew, perhaps why we're friends, we are not readers, but I do read nonfiction by comedians on the toilet. I'm on the toilet, not the comedians. The last one I finished was Born Standing Up by Steve Martin, which is a really good autobiography. And I'm currently rereading for I'm going to say legit at least the 10th time, My Custom Van by Michael Ian Black, which is just it's just a series of like short comedic essays, but they're very good. Also, Rob Delaney's books are good. What are your thoughts about cricket, the sport, not the insect? Incomprehensible. I don't know why. It's no more complicated than baseball, but you can explain the rules to me once a day, and it will never stick with me. I don't know why. Perhaps because its lack of appeal to the whites. What were you doing when 9/11 happened? I believe I was sleeping, because it happened, like 8:30 a.m. Eastern, so 5:30 a.m. Pacific. I assume I heard about it from my parents before I left for what would be, one of the first days of first year university for me. Yeah, it was probably the second week of university. First class was physics class. Don't know why I remember that. It was a physics 101 or 102. And yeah, not a lot of physics talk that day. A lot of planes hitting buildings talk, and no one really knowing if we should do the university day as usual or if it should be canceled or what. So we just sort of landed in the middle of doing all the classes, but just talking about 9/11 in all of the classes. What are your thoughts on Pascal's wager? It's my understanding. It's basically it's a logical pondering where it's logically better to believe in God than not believe in God. Because if you believe in God and God is real, then huge win. If you don't believe in God and God is real, huge loss. If you believe in God and God is not real, doesn't matter. If you don't believe in God and God is not real, it doesn't really matter. But you do get to say you were right. So the net positive is believing in God. But like, it wasn't a thing by Pascal to Pedro Pascal. You were correct, Drew. To convince people to become Christians or whatever. It was just like sort of illustrating it through logic and how that's not really how you should do it. It's just an interesting way to look at it. But yeah, logically you should. But also, and there's also the variables of like, but what if you truly don't and you're just kind of pretending you do, or can you convince yourself to, or whatever. But even though I know it's the bigger win is to believe in God, I can't pass up the not believing in God and being right. I mean, that's the biggest win for me. I can deal with eternal damnation if I don't and God does exist. But that the smugness and the righteousness of being right about atheism, I mean, you can't beat it. How do you deal with FOMO? Poorly. I always get real pissed off when I miss a thing that I wanted to not miss. When did you get your first cell phone? 99 or 2000? Probably 99, so grade 11 for someone who was born in 1983 and not me, who was born in 2005. Yeah, also, yeah, those last 2 years of high school, the golden age of cheating on tests, because teachers didn't know shit about text messaging yet. So just like there's a lot of under the desk action, and not all of it was masturbating. Who is your favorite character from Sex and the City and why? Samantha? Is she the whore? I don't know my S and the C very well, unfortunately. What made you get into wrestling? I didn't specifically say, but it stands to reason. When I described what's the deal with wrestling earlier, that is why I love it, and that's why I wanted to do it. I watched it from a young age. I thought it was extremely cool for the reasons I explained earlier, and much like, even though it's not a sport per se, much like almost every sport, it's more fun to do than to watch. So luckily there were some other like wrestling fans that I went to high school with, and we're like, let's do backyard wrestling. And now here I am 23 years later. Have you stopped beating your wife? Yes. No. Well, no, I wasn't beating her before. So no. I mean, no. But no. I'm not still beating her. Yeah. Cute. Anyway. Nugget Style Chunklet says, why are you both still single? I mean, I don't think that's fair to Drew saying still single. He's fairly recently single. Although I feel like I have the timing on that better than him. I think he said 7 months. It's less than 5 months, but that's okay. Because I think to answer exactly as Drew did for me, because I don't date, so it's tough to be not single when you don't date. But that being said, it's not like I'm trying not to be single. I don't think I've ever been happier in a relationship than I was single, which is why I don't really go out of my way to seek them out. If, as I've said before, if things fall right into my lap, literally, then great. That's ideal. But I'm really not spending any time looking for anything. Describe your ideal partner, if any. None. But no, I don't. I female. Good sense of humor. Low maintenance is a big one. I'm low maintenance myself, so I'm not asking anything that I don't give in return. But I don't need your drama and bullshit. I enjoy my life as is, and I don't think being in a relationship should make it worse. I think that's a bad compromise. And I know there's people who just don't like being alone and kind of need to be in a relationship, and that's fine, but that's very much not me. I am very comfortable by myself. So if I'm going to be in a relationship, it should not be a net negative. Favorite sleep position. So when Drew answered this, I wondered why he almost immediately started talking about fucking. But that's because sleep is in quotations. So to answer it without quotations, I am a side sleeper. If let's say I'm on my right side, I'm ambidextrous on sleep sides, but let's say I'm on my right, left hand kind of under the pillow around my head, and right arm, so my underside arm, almost straight out. That's my move. And that, I think it's because limbs don't fall asleep that way. Don't go numb that way. I guess they do fall asleep with the rest of you, but yeah, I find that the most comfortable. And favorite sleep, and I'm doing big old air quotes here. Drew's correct, doggy. Also, I do, besides doggy, and again, do I even need to say it? Big dog. Other animals fuck that way. Come on, that's not fair. Dogs shouldn't get that. I do like the. This is so personal. I like the. I'm on my knees. They're sort of on their back, but as a bit sideways, and I'm like holding up the one leg. I like that too. It's probably a name for it. I never looked it up. Fish Cake of the Mist says, based solely on your opinion, could I get a 1 to 5 star rating for these big cats? Drew went off the scale, which I, of course, don't subscribe to. If it's a 5-star wrestling match scale, I'm not giving something 6 1/4, Dave. So I will stick to 1 to 5. Lion, 1. Tiger, 5. Jaguar, 4. Cougar, 3 or 4. If we're allowed halves, 3.5. Leopard, are leopard and jaguar that different? I don't know. If jaguar's 4, leopard's 4. Cheetah, 2. Fucking twinks. Snow leopard, 5. Lynx, as Drew said, a very complicated one. I can't do better than 3. But if Lynx has had good tails, we're talking a whole nother ball game. I can't believe I said "nother." Oh my god, you guys. That's disgusting English. Nother, not a word. A whole other ball game. Thank you. Yeah, because everything else about Lynxes is cool, but then they got that fucking stubby bobtail, and it kills the whole thing. Could you talk about the creation of your wrestling characters /CAT? Did you have your personas first, then add them to your wrestling later? If so, was it a natural decision to incorporate them into wrestling? Again, different for me and Drew. For me, the second part very much, it was a natural decision to incorporate them into wrestling. I very much had the persona first. Also, I don't love the term persona because it sounds like something outside of you, and it very much is just me. That's why I find it hard to relate to people who get like art of their, again, their character or whatever, or a fursuit, and they refer to it in the third person, like they refer to their fursuit as he or she, or this character. That's it. It's sort of an animal version of them, or not even. It's just some like other character, and they refer to it as he or she or it or whatever. And I'm like, nah, that's so not me. It's anything related to it is me. Like drawings of me as a tiger are me. That's not him. It's not some other dude or like a different version of me. It's just me. So anyway, yes, I just incorporated all of me into wrestling, and Drew kind of the opposite, actually. As Drew said, he saw the merch I was selling and he was like, I could get in on that shit, and it'd be fun to team with my best friend who we hadn't before. And So Drew was like, I should animal up. But that being said, I don't think Drew would have animaled up had we not been friends for a very long time, and my passion about it had rubbed off on him to some degree. I think if he wasn't into furriness at all, he wouldn't have done that just to sell merch. I don't think. I think I had already gotten him a good, or helped him get a good amount of the way there himself. I think anyway. He can tell you the same or different. Dry juice. What's up? What do you like most about yourselves? Nothing. um, I think I've said similar things already. I like that I can be pretty funny. I think I'm a pretty good hang, even despite the introversion, and hopefully it's not just like putting on a brave face to hide the introversion. Hopefully it's that people who actually understand that and still like being around me. That's ideal. Yeah, and again, kind of shoulders up, pretty cute. What do you like the most about each other? Drew handled it. Drew covered this very well. We line up on a lot of stuff, both humor and honestly just like personality style. We're both laid back. Neither of us are high maintenance. A lot of the same interests. Beliefs generally the same. Yeah, we just and of course spending time together over the years, you probably line up even more. So yeah, so that's how that works. What accomplishments are you most proud of? That's a good question. I guess getting a university science degree with minimal effort, but that being said, I did kind of waste my university experience. I think I've said on the pod before, I didn't make a single friend at 4 years of university. I just like went to class, sort of paid attention, went home, didn't do any. I briefly pledged a fraternity and then realized it was super gay and didn't. And I don't mean I'm pardon me, homosexuals. I don't mean it was sort of homosexual. It wasn't. It was hetero. It was probably too heterosexual. But gay is in bad. That's an okay thing to say, right? That kind of gay, the bad kind of gay. Yeah, it was that. So I didn't do it. And that was like the only like extracurricular like university thing I ever did. I did, yeah. Because I was so into the wrestling we were doing at the time, and not to say I didn't make any friends those years. I made a bunch of wrestling friends those years, just not like at the University of British Columbia. And other accomplishments, most proud. I mean, I guess getting very, very, very low level internet famous is not something I thought would ever happen. So I guess that's an accomplishment. I don't know. It's something. When and how did you realize you were furries? I can't. Drew answered for Drew. My answer, forever. And I like your answer too, Dry Juice. You might have my favorite answer for when and how you realized you were a furry. But yeah, like from, I don't know, literally as far back as I can remember. I guess it's a little different for me than some people, because some people are just like into the anthropomorphic animal characters in cartoons and whatnot, which I was, but if it was just that, I don't know how far I would have gone with it. But the thing that like way pre-puberty, way pre any sexuality, just the thing that gave me like weird, like just the good tingles was it was seeing people in media turn into anthropomorphic or feral animals. Anthropomorphic, I think, is cooler. Because I don't know, if you just turn into a dog, then what happens? Then you're just a dog. Who's got time for that? But even if they're doing, there's an in between stage that at least looks cool, and that and who can explain the things they're into, but both as a child and as an adult. It's very hard to put words to why you're into something, but that's what got me. And also obviously a formative TF scene, which I could have answered earlier for whomst ever ask it. Obviously the donkey in Pinocchio, a good Pinocchio. I don't recommend Pinocchio 2022. Well, as a movie, the TF was okay, but again, they everyone does a bad job because nobody hires the right furries. If you could go anywhere in the world on a trip, where would you go? We said Japan number 1, Italy number 2. Japan for culture and wrestling, Italy for culture and food. Why did Scott study biology? You know the answer to that question. You can't. We will never get to organic TFs without biology, so I thought I would do my part. Foxed071, nice, says, what do you guys do in your spare time? I think we hit that already. Smothered in Fur, as Drew said, great name. What's your furry body count and normie body count? In terms of murders or sex with people? Murders I won't say on the pod. Furry body count 1 and normie 6. Yeah, less than Drew. Drew gets around more than me. Drew also might be a sex addict, and I might be almost asexual. But not all the way, because at the end of the day, 7 is a lot more than 0. But, and also, to be fair, a decent but not entire amount of those 7 came some years ago. And I do mean came. Jeremy Belansky says, in the realm of realism, what are your hopes and dreams for the future? I think we have very different definitions of realism, Jeremy, because what I am hoping for might not be a thing you think you can happen, but I am an optimist. So Tiger TF, certainly. Beyond that, I mean, if this podcast gets big enough to be a full-time job, cool. If wrestling gets bigger, also cool. I'm very fine with both of those. Jason Phillips says, you ever been in love? I guess so, but not. I don't know. It was so, like, I was, the last long-term relationship I was in, which was, I don't know if it ended 20 years ago, but it started more than 20 years ago. Like, I guess I was in love with her, but it was also, like, really easy to end the relationship. So I don't know. Which one of you is more gay? Drew said me because he's had heterosexual sex more recently than me. I would counterpoint and say that it's Drew because he's gay. Zachary K says, mostly Drew sent your questions. That's fine by me. Scott question, how are you? I'm all right, but I had quite a weekend as mentioned previously, and yesterday was kind of a write-off because it was too much. I'm better today, but honestly still kind of exhausted. Carl Damfair says, are the two of you aware of the Eurovision Song Contest, and are you planning on watching it this May? I am aware of it. I am not planning on watching it this May. Have you watched an edition of it before, or maybe the awful Will Ferrell movie about it? I've probably seen clips from the worst of it before, and I did not watch the Will Ferrell movie because it looked bad. Drew did watch it because he watches everything. The French contestant this year is a Quebecois lady. Wait, so it's by language and not geography? Like the French one can come from Quebec, Canada? What are your thoughts on Quebecois people in general? Some of the worst people in the world, some of the most racist people in the world, and just extremely unpleasant. I wish it was feasible for you to secede from Canada, but it's also so stupid for a province in the middle of the country to just become its own country. Just terrible people. If another nation had colonized part of Canada instead of France, which one would you prefer? I feel like Drew thought very small on this. He just thought of like white Western European countries, which, yes, were the ones doing the colonizing at the time. But why not, like, if we're going nuts here, let's go China. Let's do what they're doing now, but in the 1600s. I love to be able to do the accent and not get yelled at. That's the dream. Michael Blake, whose name I did not spell wrong on the questions for Drew because it was just copy and pasted. So Michael spelled his own name wrong. What's some advice you'd give to green wrestlers that isn't typical or obvious, like wash your goddamn gear, don't be a jerk, etc.? I kind of hit that earlier. Don't think you know everything, which almost every rookie does, and I'm sure we did too. But again, don't blindly listen to every veteran. Like, pick and choose who you listen to. And yeah, I think I sort of hit that before. Biggest inspirations for getting into wrestling, and how soon did you regret those life decisions? I guess that would just sort of be like favorite wrestlers when you were young, which is like, Ted DiBiase, Jake Roberts, Randy Savage. Wasn't so much a Hogan guy. I think I was an Ultimate Warrior guy, ashamedly. And not regretting those life decisions for the most part. I wish I had not gotten the few injuries I've had, but otherwise it's okay. Where are we here? How often have you guys had to share locker rooms with sex pests, and how gross did it make you feel? We have definitely shared them with sex pests, but didn't know they were sex pests until after the fact. We've shared locker rooms with Joey Ryan, David Starr, both guys who are completely blackballed from wrestling now for being sex pests. We didn't know that at the time, but I did know at the time that they were both unpleasant. So maybe there's a correlation there. Deja says, Scott, what do you do with the countless nudes fans have sent you? I look at them, I say thank you, and then I usually don't think about them again because rarely do they have tails. Drew, how's the weed addiction treating you? That's for Drew. For both of you, what's your favorite inside joke / reference you guys share? I mean, lots of Simpsons references. More recently, a lot of I think you should leave references. And then as far as like real inside jokes, it's usually just like something mean about some other friend of ours. How often do either of you go to Tim Hortons? Do you use the Tim's app? I try to avoid Tim Hortons at all costs. It is garbage. I think it's the worst commercially available coffee you can get. I certainly do not use the Tim's app. They have like a couple of edible donuts. I think the rest of their food is probably also bad, although I've barely touched it. It's bad. It's no bueno. Cass Farrell, who until this very point I for some reason thought it was Caspari. I think because maybe on Twitter it's Casfarl ! And I conflated the L and the exclamation into an I. Look, I'm not going to explain how autism brain works, but that's how we got here. Who are some of your favorite musical artists of all time? Okay, so here's that question. Love your guys' stuff. Much love from Minnesota, aka the only state that isn't filled with deranged, zombified 70-year-old lunatics. Don't know if that's true, but so I hit that pretty well with my favorite albums one that hit a lot of my favorite artists. I guess artist wise, what it didn't hit was I like a good chunk of like 80s new wave, which I don't think I mentioned much of because I probably only have select songs here and there and not a bunch from any given album. So that's a genre I like. My main genre is rap and hip hop. That's my favorite genre of music. Second probably being indie rock. Pretty eclectic. And you know, some pop. I like and I like kind of what like glitchy, not even glitchy, but like hyper pop. Like I kind of like 100 gecs, to be honest, as far as current stuff. And Sophie is hyper pop, and I fucking love it. So yeah, but I think I covered a lot of that in the albums. Houdini, spelled sort of phonetically, says one favorite furry artists. That is another one where I think I can search things I've sent to other people asking the same question and see what I've said to various people. You know what? I'm going to pause this 1 sec and find it so I don't drag you through listening to it. Found a good one. So these are all artists that are either on Fur Affinity or DeviantArt, most of whom, or Twitter, or all of the above. Most are on Fur Affinity. Saber-toothed ermine, like the animal, Ermine. Angrboda, which I believe is also a character in God of War Ragnarok, Angrboda. Stickman www/Steve with 2 E's. Hornbuckle, Dog Girl Kari, Kari, Curious Red Fox, Dr. Pickell, Pickelle, Mickey Isla, Mickeyila, Catch a Bird, Griff, Gryf, Idle Rar, Silverclaw, Baka Nico, Golden Druid, Odysseus UT, Kuma, Kuma, Woodcock, Celine Necrotheo, who does a lot of our t-shirts and is amazing. Used username, unidentified TF, Shepherd Faced /SF off the leash for the NSFW work. Undercover Morpher, Humanimal Zoo, something Wild, who hasn't done anything in forever but was a great artist in their day, and and that's a whole bunch. So and I'm pleased to say I have been given, or in better days purchased, art from a lot of those people. Although the last chunk I mentioned are all photo manipulators and not like drawing artists, and I don't really have anything from thems, but they all do good work. So that's what you get. List your kinks, transformation, the end. Keep the rest of the weird shit out of there. Correxa Collins asks, I got a question for you. How the hell am I to complete my masterpiece without hours of rambling nonsense in the background? Well, great news. You got 3 hours 2 days ago, and as of right now, and I'm not done, 3 hours and 12 minutes. Now, this is actually pretty cool. Here are some questions I thought of and am willing to ask publicly. Most serious Q, do you have a plan / idea of how much longer you'll wrestle for? I would very much like to see a show live, but worry about not making it, as I know it wouldn't be until maybe 24. I'm the same as Drew. I am going until the wheels fall off. I've always said, and I'm pleased that I said it so long ago, and it's still true for me. I'm probably never going to have an official retirement match. I'm never going to decide to quit before I have to quit. So that's the deal there. So unless something bad happens to both of us, I think you're going to be good in 24. What's your favorite home baked treat? Drew said soft cookies, so let me think of something. Like a caramel brownie, like a regular brownie with fucking caramel in it. That's fucking good. If you want to get fancy, and it is baked, like a baked Alaska. Anytime you can bake ice cream and not ruin everything, you're onto something. What not drew you towards Tiger and Snow Leopard, respectively? I think we've done that. Probably most second serious cue. When you're drawn, how do you prefer yourself to be represented? I sometimes struggle choosing if I want to be more accurate to reality or somewhat exaggerate things like muscles when drawing. On one side, I feel I'm just drawing you to look as cool as I see you. That's very sweet. But also don't want to potentially cause insecurity for my big boys. I prefer as realistic as possible. I want to see myself in the art. So that's me. And drawing me realistically is not going to make me any more insecure than I already am. It's not going to compound it by any means. Like I know what I look like, and I would rather see an actual me in the art than like some idealized version of me. Coming off how you're drawn, what would you consider your default design? I think big beard and top knot. I mean, until January, that was correct. Now it is neither of those things. I am short beard, and Drew is short hair, and Drew goes between light beard and not much beard. Face cams when? We'll figure it out. Streaming's tricky, but as far as a topic, it wouldn't be bad to do like our next Q&A as a stream or something like that if we figure it out. Taylor Ears, TNE, which I assume is just asking if like a tits or ass situation, but Taylor Ears, which Drew seemed to have a great deal of difficulty understanding and answering. Tail, ears are cute, but come on, tail can't be beat. Have you made any biscuits today, which Drew thought was poo? Not a good cat, Drew. We're gonna have to send you back to cat school, but not the one that everyone from the cast of Cats had to go to, because that was clearly a bad school. Making biscuits is when the cats do the kneading thing with their paws. I'm doing it right now, but I realize this is an audio medium, so it may not be coming across as well as I am thinking it does. But yeah, you know what I mean. The making biscuits. Yes, to answer your question, I have. Scott related questions. PepsiCo has reached out to create a Big Cat Mountain Dew. What flavor and color is it? Well, here's the problem. It's probably going to have to be orange or black or both, right? Which, one, not good colors, two, not good flavors. Here's how deep a goddamn furry I am. Because there's people out there who, like, pick a dog and then they make it like blue and pink, the colors they like or something. I don't like the color orange at all. It's one of my least favorite, like, main color wheel colors. It's my secondary color, I guess, because it's not a primary. But it's what color tigers are, so that's what I am, and I have to deal with it. But I don't want a bunch of orange colored shit. I don't care for the color. And also tiger tail ice cream, garbage, which pains me to say, believe me. But look, it's cool that you made an ice cream that looks like tiger, but also it's orange and licorice, and that's gross. So yeah, I feel we'd have to go out of the box on the Mountain Dew. I think you'd have to do it the color of some of my gear, maybe the color of my Zootopia tiger shorts, the kind of bluey ones, because Mountain Dew can do blue for sure. It was a tricky sentence, by the way. Mountain Dew can do blue. So yeah, I mean, they've been some good dews in the past. I'm trying to think of like an appropriate flavor and not just a flavor I would like. You know what? Scratch all of that. Do it a milky white like a milky, semi-opaque white, like a Calpico, or there's like, those like Asian sort of yogurty drinks, and just call it Tiger Cum. And it's, I don't know, kind of citrusy. That's the move. I talked myself into it. Can you describe your perfect TFC? I don't know. Do you have 6 hours? The general gist is length. I mean, I guess up to a point. The longer time frame it takes over, the better. And of course, the enemy of the TF scene is the poof TF. The hey, it's a person. Poof, cloud of smoke. Oh, now they're now they're Pete's dragon. Yeah, you look. It's about the destination's important. Don't get me wrong, but it's about the journey, and I want to see every step of the journey. I want attention paid to every changing body part. I want reactions, and there's obviously different kinds of reactions, and I like various ones on various levels. Like the guy who's into it, cool. I mean, that'd be me. But I also like watching a third party who's not into it. I think that's cool too. Like, someone like TFing against their will. Because I'm, at the end of the day, I'm not worried for it. You're going to end up better off than you started, pal. So quit being a baby about it. But it's cool to like, oh, what's this shit that's happened to me? I think that's a cool scenario also. So yeah, so there's lots of ways to go in terms of the vibe and their reaction to it. But number one with a bullet is spend some fucking time on it. All right. How hard is it to resist replying to all these comments now? Because this is on YouTube. Hard, because I do respond to all the YouTube comments. If I think of any more, I'll probably add them to the Curious Cat link. Well, I wonder if any of those other ones were from you. I wonder if the one that said, "Can I come, sir?" was from you. Aaron Ronan. 2 names I'm fine with separately, but not together. Too many R's and N's. So that was too many N's. And also, I don't like the spelling of either of them. I have very mixed feelings on your name, Aaron Ronan. Have you seen BoJack Horseman? What do you think about it? It's great. I think it's excellent. I think it can be really funny and really depressing, which is a pretty interesting dichotomy to be able to pull off well. I mean, they have great, just like cheap but still kind of clever, like animal related puns and stuff. And then they get real deep into emotional shit. And I always thought it was so funny that Adam resisted watching it for so long, or like he watched like 2 episodes and he's like, I don't know, it's not that funny. It's not for me. I'm like, is it not that funny and not for you? Or is it hitting a little too close to home as an alcoholic, depressed horse yourself? Jimbo Jones said, how did you guys meet and how long have you known each other? I think we hit that. Halloween 2004. Who's a wrestler pre-modern era? Let's say most of their career is pre-2010 as a line. You always found underrated, one you guys found overrated. I like that Drew's overrated for most of their career being pre-2010 was Jack Swagger, who debuted in 2008. And I would say a little more of his career has been pre-2010. So I found that to be an insane answer. Underrated. Not that he wasn't popular, but Scott Hall / Razor Ramon, in that he never won a world title. Like, he definitely should have been the guy instead of his friend Diesel, who held it for a year in 1995. Kurt Hennig, Mr. Perfect, again, very popular, but probably should have been an even bigger star than he was. Ted DiBiase, too. Overrated. I mean, I hate to go with super obvious answers, but Hulk Hogan. Hot-ish take, kind of Steve Austin. He's had like a few like really great matches, but like a lot of them are just like kind of the same kind of brawl, which I know like that was his thing, and his popularity is based on his character and promos and whatnot. But I'm very much an in-ring guy, and like, yeah, there's some good Steve Austin matches, but not a ton. And then same thing for modern era. I mean, until very recently, and maybe still recently, like Claudio Castagnoli, at least he's got the ROH title now, but he was just buried in WWE for 10 years, and it's tragic. Tomohiro Ishii should be world champion forever and will never win it. Same with Bryan Danielson, although he's definitely portrayed as a star for most of it, but he's, maybe the best wrestler of all time. Overrated. Drew nailed it with Jay White. Cody Rhodes also. Cody Rhodes, 6 out of 10 wrestler, 10 out of 10 self-marketer. And then, oh God, we're almost at the end. Should I just power through, or should I have a nap? Let's go from, so these are from Twitter DM. Garfield Von Kaiser says, Scoot, I have one question and one question only for the Q&A, plus several more questions. Does Drew get along with Adam? Drew answered this pretty well. They haven't interacted a ton. Drew definitely cares more for him now than he used to, which is fair. I don't know if Adam's a great first impression guy, honestly, but he's definitely better as you get to know him, which I think Drew has found. Please talk about your favorite wrestling themes, not counting your own, although our own is a fucking banger. The Beverly Brothers, King of Hearts era Owen Hart, Razor Ramon. Those are my big 3 for WWF. Shinsuke Nakamura, both New Japan and WWE, shockingly. They actually got him a good new theme. I like Okada's theme a lot. I like Shibata's theme a lot, which has never been released, which sucks because it's by an actual band, but they've never put it on anything, which is infuriating. What else? Whatever. That's enough. A couple of good, old New Japan themes. Although I think, Satoshi Kojima still uses the one he used forever. Shinya Hashimoto's theme was really good, which maybe his son still uses, Daiichi. Do you remember the exact episode you realized The Simpsons wasn't good anymore? I don't have an exact episode. What I think people point to, and I think Drew had this and then mistook it, because I think people do say the original Frank Grimes episode is kind of the turning point, because that's where lovable Homer becomes jerk-ass Homer. So yeah, I think it's the original Frank Grimes episode and not the Frank Grimes Jr. episode that some people point to as a Jump the Shark episode. I definitely watched past the Frank Grimes episode, but probably not a ton. Like I think I was mostly dipped out by season 11 or 12, I would say. It's crazy to think that having seen some Simpsons episodes so many times, and having seen certainly seasons 1 to 11 or 12 multiple times each, and knowing a lot of them inside and out, that I've seen way less than half of the total Simpsons episodes now, where at a point I had seen every episode a bunch of times. Why are you gay? Fair question. Since it's literally documented on the podcast when Drew came out of the furry closet, can you, Scoot, please talk about when you realized you were a tiger, not a Rakshasa, which I had to look up. It's some sort of like evil Indian spirit, which is, I guess, some sort of backdoor calling me a Bengal and not a Siberian tiger, which is hurtful. But yeah, I think we hit this one earlier. This one came in new after Drew from the incredibly influential and highly successful podcast, who I did an episode with just a couple days ago, and might have came out on Tuesday, I believe. So go check out the incredibly influential and highly successful podcast, episode 53, I believe. Let me make sure so I'm being accurate. 53, we did it. A very positive experience. Good title, guys. They ask, would the universe be better or worse if Big Bird was on the Challenger instead of Krista McAuliffe? Well, that's a fair question. So let's think about it. Now, so we're talking about historical ramifications. Would the universe be better or worse? Now, if I have been paying attention to my conservative media, Big Bird got vaccinated on Sesame Street, yes? Which in turn convinced all the children watching Sesame Street to get vaccinated. And that's why they're all trans now. And that didn't happen. And that happened with dead Krista McAuliffe. So if we put Big Bird in her place on the Challenger, when it explodes on television in front of everyone, it seems that seems like the net good, right? Did we get it? Did I win? Paranomaly asks, a few questions for you boys, since I'm a greedy piggy. You are, but not the greediest. When talking about pacing, a lot of online creators focus on movies that are too long or slow. I've grown very used to long-form entertainment through series and games, and this often doesn't bother me, so it's not something I can relate with. On the other hand, can you think of any examples of movies that were too quick or fast in their pacing? Yeah, good question. I also don't mind a slower paced movie. I definitely, if something is good, I don't lose interest if it's slow. If it's bad and slow, obviously I'm going to be pissed off. But yeah, otherwise I'm good. Too fast in their pacing. I mean, like, I don't know, Speed Racer, like anything that's like really frenetic is maybe anything. You know what? Anime. There's a lot of anime that's too fast in its pacing. It's just I don't need to be overstimulated. What furry adjacent tags bother you most when, let's say, appreciating art? I think I've been into this. Literally most kink fetish things that aren't my very specific one, I find kind of gross. But yeah, poo, very bad. Being inside someone's tummy. I don't need any of it. I know both of you are sports fans and of course love wrestling, but what are your favorite sports to go to live games of aside from wrestling? Of course, Drew likes hockey. Any others? Yeah, I like most live sports. I've only been to a couple NFL games, but those are cool. Same as Drew, I like going to baseball, but I don't know how much it's for the baseball as the atmosphere. Been in my share of hockey games, basketball games when we had a basketball team here. They're all fun. I mean, any sports are more fun live than on TV. But yeah, I would go to any sports game that I was invited to. Actually, even live, I don't love soccer. Drew likes soccer a lot more than me, but otherwise I'm in. Who are your favorite people in New Japan Pro Wrestling? I've hit most of them already, but Okada, Ishii, Shibata back in the mix finally. Well, sort of. I mean, he might not be allowed in New Japan anymore after he went into business for himself after coming back from nearly dying, but he gets to do stuff in North America, so all the better. Will Ospreay is pretty fucking great. Anyone? Oh, well, I guess Ibushi's not in New Japan anymore, but it's the most recent place he was, and he's great. And yeah, let's not forget Shingo Takagi, also excellent, and actually killing it this year. So those are the main ones. Oh, a little bonus questions from UV that came in after Drew. What was your furry awakening? How about sexual furry awakening? I think furry awakening we've done. Sexual furry awakening was when I got old enough to jerk off, and then started jerking off to just the things I liked looking at and reading before. Did you have any cartoon crushes, like all furries, LOL? If so, who was it and what made you like them? I'm trying to think. Like, I'm sure I did. I don't know, maybe like a Robin Hood Maid Marian or something, although I wish you wouldn't cover up those cute ears with that dumb veil. But don't get me started. Um, yeah. And if live streaming wasn't a crippling fear of yours, what would be the first game you would stream? Postal. Anything good enough to be made into an Uwe Boll movie was good enough by me. Also, I hear it's pretty fun actually. So that, and then a couple from that were responses to me posting this on my Facebook fan page. Ryan Lee says, "What's going on with VBW?" Wow. VBW was another Vancouver Backyard Wrestling Fed, and also stood for Vancouver Backyard Wrestling. That ran when concurrently with the early days of VCW, like 2000 to 2003. And we did some stuff with them in 2003, and then they just sort of imploded, and we just took like the good wrestlers from there, and then they did stuff with us. Then they did nothing for like at least 10 years, and then they bought a ring or something and ran in a backyard, and we did like a few bits and pieces with them just because, hey, it's another place to wrestle in 2014, 15. And then they just kind of like lost motivation or just like being able to get people together. And I feel like they were done around 2016. So that's what's like. Your question is like, what's going on currently with VBW? They've been dead for 7 years is what's going on. Gregory Mueller. I've just started watching New Japan. Was your favorite New Japan match? Well, New Japan produced my 3 favorite matches of the 2010s, which you heard earlier. Omega Okada, Shibata Okada, and Nakamura Ibushi. And there's a whole lot of others. I mean, my match of the year most years has been New Japan. 2019 was Okada Ospreay, with Shingo Ospreay being very close in the mix. And then Shingo Ospreay was my 2021 match of the year. 2016 was Okada Ishii. There's a lot. And then obviously earlier than the 2010s, although the 2010s, the Okada era is really where New Japan, became an elite match producer. But there's some good 90s stuff. There's like that Muda and Muto Chono versus Hase and Sasaki. That's the one. There's Muda versus Hase, the bloodbath, always fun. Some Vader stuff. But there's plenty out there. So hopefully, and again, this goes to you and anyone. If I've glossed over your question too much and you want more details, hit me up. I'm happy to go into detail on anything. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to pause this. I'm going to go have dinner because much like Drew, it's late and I need to eat something. I'm going to come back. I'm going to read back through the questions, see if I missed any, and then answer those. And if I didn't miss any, this will be the last you hear of me. And if I did, then you'll hear the questions. Are we understood? Okay. So perhaps goodbye for a second, and perhaps goodbye forever, or until Monday. But thank you for this. This has been weirdly fun. Hey, it's me again. This is the bonus track of the episode. I went back through the questions, and I think I only missed one from fairly early on in the anonymous ones from curiouscat.live/NotScottHenson, which was when was the hardest you've ever laughed on the worst year of our lives, which Drew already covered. I think it was me impersonating his like Southern. To be clear, his dad's not Southern. This is just what I chose to do with Douglas Smith. Just like slave owner Southern accent, catching Drew with his pornography books. My word, Andrew, you been looking at them
pussy books again. Something to that effect. That got us pretty good. That was at Drew's house in maybe later 2020 probably. And then there was another one I remember getting him with here. If someone can remember, then awesome. But would have been 2021, maybe into 2022, but possibly not. Definitely recorded here, where I said something, and for a while he was just like screaming into my pillow, sitting on my bed. I wish I could remember what that was, because whatever it was, rivaled Pussy Books. So if someone can remember another time we've totally lost it on the pod, that'd be great. And maybe we did during the weed episode too, but I don't remember it. And actually, the reason that I thought I needed to go back and check for ones I missed is because I was sure there was a what's the worst injury question you've had that I didn't answer, but that was a Drew only question. So for me, it's when I snapped my arm in half, in case you were wondering, which you weren't. Bye.